God, what the hell is that?
I'm the sheriff. I'm the sheriff.
You're the police. Where are your badges? I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
That's because I'm a star. I'm a genuine sports personality. A legendary folk hero.
Jesus Christ.
There he is. Very baddest cat in the joint. Even the guards are terrified of him.
You can call me when I have to call my lawyer. They bring me a telephone. Would you like to leave me your home phone number?
I don't want to hear any of this. I don't want to hear no more of this.
Wait a minute, I'm just getting to the weird part.
The weird part.
Yeah, it gets weird.
Say we take off, loop the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Let's do it.
Can you do that?
I can do anything. I'm the chief of police.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Saturday Night at the Movies. Tonight, we do a William Friedkin retrospective. Welcome, welcome. I want to thank every one of the panel members tonight. We'll do it alphabetically. Colhauser, thank you for showing up this evening. Appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to be here.
I know you probably got plenty of Transformers things to go out and buy and not open. Darth Yeager.
How's it going?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Having a great old time.
Excellent.
Love the live stuff.
Excellent. I love the live stuff too. You're more of a video guy too, aren't you?
Yeah. Like pretty much all of my stuff is long form videos and then little pieces cut from those. But
excellent.
I'm getting used to this. So
good.
This is the way to do it.
Put you on the spot. And the one, the only SpydyrUnlimited.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see Cole again and be on the stream with him. Great to have you have me back on, and a pleasure to finally make the acquaintance of Darth.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, Spider, and you too, Colhauser. Praise our rock.
Yeah, man. I was sitting down one day and I was like, okay, I want to tear apart a couple of different movies. I want to get something going on and have some discussion. And I've worked with everybody in one capacity or another before, and I thought, okay, I need these three fellas to come on here. We're going to prevaricate about some of William Friedkin's better works, not his off-brand stuff, but his high-dollar stuff. And I thought what we'd do, we picked a few of them out, some of his bangers. One of them, really obscure, Killer Joe. I thought we'd wind up on that just because I don't think too many people know that it's out there, and it is a great example of how really weird you can get with William Friedkin. And I thought, yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap up with that. One of the things I want everybody to know, that if you're showing up to the show and if it's your first time in here, kind of what I'm trying to do here with this, and I hope everybody's on board with it. You know, everybody in the sphere talks so much about how bad Hollywood is and how rough it is to find anything good to watch. Well, if you go back a couple of years, there is so much good stuff that exists that is just kind of gone by the wayside. If you get a chance to go out there and you got some time on your hands and you really want to get entertained and see some real good, movie making, some real good technical movie making, some great acting, some amazing stories, that's what I'm looking to put together with these panels. Get some of this out in front of folks in case they've forgotten about the good stuff. We get so wrapped up in how bad things can get, we forget about how good they were. So let's go back and take a look at how good things really were before we get rolling. Hail to the chat. It is so nice to see everybody in here. Zephyr, welcome aboard. JJ and Johnny Normie, thank you for coming over. I know you guys are over on Chilled Monkey Brains and we're share streaming tonight on that. So welcome aboard. I hope you guys enjoy it. And let us...
Actually, if I can just throw something in.
Yeah, man, go.
It's funny because I know we talk about the bad movies that are now, and what we had. Like, yeah, we had a good, like we can go back to the 50s, 60s, then 70s, 80s, 90s, and then the early 2000s. But if you can just, it wasn't like there weren't any bad movies, but when you handpick a few, even today, you're gonna find some good stuff. But yeah, I guess we were spoiled because of. Listen, though, you can call Marlon Brando a prima donna all you want, but the guy was good at what he did.
Oh, yeah,
And
there ain't no
he
question
was
about that.
he was someone you always look forward to seeing. And I guess you're not gonna get, and it's just not because Hollywood's bad. They don't have actors with any gravitas anymore.
No.
And that's where the problem is. Because all you're doing is you're basically when they find some girl or guy on TikTok, oh, you know what? Can you star in my movie? And that's it. So
Yeah.
it's not just that the film is bad and the writing's bad. The actors and actresses are bad because they don't have that intelligence. They don't have the experience of a lot of them who did Broadway plays. So that's why I just want to point out.
No, I agree. I think there's two things that's going on. Number one, you have now, it was movies. You made a movie, it went into the theaters, and that was it. And now you've got streaming services, you got straight to DVD, you've got all kinds of people you've got Netflix rushing, you've got Amazon rushing, you've got all kinds of theaters making 18 bazillion different things. It used to be you had, 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 studios that were working on a picture at a time, if that. So you didn't have that draw for the actors. You weren't scraping and clawing like you are now. You got to kind of almost invent people. But my problem, and I rail on this every time we talk about, but writing, man, if you don't have a good story, you might as well turn around and go home. And the writers' benches in Hollywood have been empty for, I would say, probably a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades. You have to have people who have lived a life that can tell a story. And when you have kids that roll out of, and it's nothing against kids going to college and then turn around trying to get right into your field, because Friedkin was one of those dudes, literally got out of high school, straight into directing.
Yeah.
He started working at a TV station, started doing commercials, just right to it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when your writer's bench is nothing but kids who know nothing but Starbucks and, women's studies. You got a problem.
Or done by committee.
Yeah,
exactly. And especially when you can't tell them, hey, this sucks. I can't imagine being somebody who's ahead of a writer's room, and you've got 3 different people that come to you and go, here's my idea, and every one of them sucks. And you got to go, okay, well, let's take a look at that and see if we can make it work. And then you got to do it because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah, it's like, remember Spider? I don't know if you remember in the panel when everyone was asked the panel, if they were to take over a franchise, who would you give it to? Everyone said Star Wars, give it to Ryan. And then somebody asked Jeremy. He says, if I had G.I. Joe, I'll give it to Colhauser. Where's Colhauser? And so he's like, put your hand up, because he knows how much I know about G.I. Joe. Where if I'm actually, and he said this the other night, if I'm going to write a script for G.I. Joe, I'm going to do it in a way where it's going to please everybody, where it's going to say, the G.I. Joe fans, where they're going to, why don't I get something like this? If you go back, sorry, just short time here. If you go back and watch, and we all know it was a serious incident that happened on September 12th, 2012 with Benghazi. And what did Michael Bay do? Michael went back to those soldiers that were there and wrote this movie so they can and I remember, because it started off, because most movies start off with, this is based on a true story. His thing was, this is a true story, because he got account from everyone who was there, wrote the story, and that's why that story was so powerful. Just, if you're going to write something, have some passion, even if it's fiction or nonfiction, but have some passion in what you're doing.
And
So,
that's a great movie. I'd recommend that to anybody that hasn't seen it, for sure.
And you just stumbled us into our very first movie of the evening, The French Connection, and I'm gonna background it, and then I'm gonna kick it off to you guys. I'm gonna tell you why you just stumbled into that. William Friedkin was the kind of guy that would look at a story and say, "This is an outstanding story. I want to make a movie out of it." And then he would go find the people who were involved in it. Okay. He went and found Eddie Egan and said, he's the New York PD detective that Popeye Doyle is based on. He found Eddie Egan. And he said, I'm going to get this made into a movie. I need you, Sonny Grasso. I need a couple other fellows to come along for the ride. And while I'm doing this, you're going to tell me all about it, and we're going to do it right. So you kind of stumbled us right into, if you're going to have a story, do it exactly the way the story was told. Darth, why don't you start us off and give us your thoughts on the French? I'm going to background it for everybody. I got, just in case anybody has never seen it, I'll do a real quick setup of the stuff. French Connection, 1971, won a few Academy Awards, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Editing, and Best Adapted Screenplay. And they got this all together for $1.8 million, which was a little bit over budget. It was 1.5 originally. They went to 1.8, and they pulled down 41 million and change box office. It was not a long run, and $41 million in 1971 was some pretty good scratch. So they did a pretty good job on that. All right, Darth, go ahead, run with it.
Yeah, that was when money was worth something. Yeah, you know what I think I love the most about this is the aesthetic, this beautiful gritty kind of aesthetic that the cinematographer Owen Roisman achieved. Where he took this Eastman color film stock and he deliberately underexposed it, and he sort of, and it gives you this really stunning gritty kind of look that you don't see in filmmaking today. Today you usually have, when you have stuff that's shot digitally, it doesn't have the same aesthetic as film. And I mean, there's always so much weird desire these days with cinematographers to shoot digitally and then darking everything and then put this weird smears of gray puke over everything, and it just looks terrible. You watch this one and it's just, even the Blu-ray I've got, which isn't the best one, it's fantastic looking on our movie screen in here. So, I mean, look at these images. There was a time when color and light was how you showed films. And now it seems nobody wants to have color and light in their films anymore. I don't know why, but that's one of my favorite things for sure. And of course, this is something that Friedkin is good at, is these neo-noir action films. A whole bunch, I think 3 of the films we're doing are neo-noir action films.
It was kind of his jam, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was kind of his thing.
If I can just, sorry, Darth, if I can just add also is the grittiness of
absolutely
the way the movie and the tone, like it was like that opening scene Giles, you just showed it, the French Connection. Just that you just knew what you were getting. You were getting something where you've never seen before. Something was coming on, and then when just the way the colors went, it grabbed you, and you're figuring this is going to be something different, and this is something I'm actually going to enjoy, because it has that take of you're being drawn into something where the effects are real.
Speaking of which, there's I'll put that back up. Friedkin had a thing about black and white intro cards. He had a real stark title stuff because he knew the rest of his film was going to be pretty to look at. So he's like, I'm going to just bang people right in the face, the minute that they jump into this. Let me put this one back up real quick to your point. This fella right here is the French detective that's following Alan Charnier around Marseille. And you meet this guy for all of about 30 seconds before, where did I put him? Hang on one second. Before, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do present image file. There we go. Before this cat, who is Charnier's hitman, comes in and just pulls it. I don't have the still of it, but shows, pulls a 45. And the shot of him, he blasts that detective right in the face. and the effect that they use on that is really kind of jarring. And a lot of audiences were like, holy cow. They didn't do a squib, but what they did was they had a spray of gore that came up just instantly right into this dude's face. So when he got clipped, it looked like his face just kind of exploded, and folks were like, holy mackerel, what did we just step into? That's kind of how Friedkin liked to start things off, you know. Then you got this. I think this is one of my favorite parts, when we get to meet Popeye and Cloudy, and they got this fella, they got Willie up against the wall, and they're doing the you pick your feet and Poughkeepsie bit, which Eddie Egan taught him, and he just thought that was the funniest thing ever. As a matter of fact, this scene, right, I picked this still because Roy Scheider actually cracked up when he was listening to Gene Hackman do this, because Eddie Egan taught him how to say a few things, and then Hackman just started making it up on the spot, and he actually cracked Roy Scheider up. He had to turn away from the scene. He had to walk off camera to get it. And Friedkin was one of those dudes that said, I don't care what happens, keep the cameras rolling. And more often than not, it wound up making it into the film.
Well, and even you know, the fact that he wasn't afraid to use the N-word aspect of it in this film, where they just went all in, and that's what I liked about this film. They weren't afraid to just do, you know, they just did it.
And to your color and your, you know, what the scenes look like, they're inside of a bar. Cloudy and Popeye decide they're going to go. Popeye actually talks him into, let's go get a drink, because Popeye wants to go, you know, kind of scout out what's going on the narcotic scene. And they can't even go get a simple drink without Popeye's working. But the whole inside of this bar is just bright red the whole time you're in there. You really know this is some dive joint. You know, it's like it's supposed to be swank, but there are even times when you can't really make out what's going on, and Friedkin's like, I don't care. I'm keeping the color. That's how it's going to, you know, that's how it's going to look. And I wanted to do this, to your point, Cole, about gritty. While we're here, I want to do this. I'm going to put a clip up, and I might get busted out, but we're going to do it, and we're going to stop it every couple of seconds. This is, now I got to tell you, I come from a law enforcement family. Okay. So this is the way it actually used to work back in the day. That's why this is one of my favorite scenes. All of this scene is for one particular purpose, and it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the bar. But this thing perfectly encapsulates how Friedkin had this thing about, in my opinion, about anti-heroes. Every one of his good guys, you know, in his cop movies, he really liked to show, yeah, they're the good guy, but they're kind of a scumbag too. So
I told you people were coming back. We're going to keep coming back here until you clean this bar up. Keep your eye on your neighbor. If he drops something that belongs.
Now, for anybody that can see that, doesn't know what's going on, Popeye's got his hat down. They went into this bar, and he's reaching up underneath there. And as he goes, he's pulling drugs out from underneath the bar.
To you. What is this, a fucking hospital here? Turn around.
Yeah, this is my favorite scene. Favorite scene from the movie.
Does it belong to you? Huh?
Now, when they're in here, they're looking for Popeye's. You can get all kinds of drugs. You can get, you know, grass. You can get a little bit of coke, all that. Popeye is specifically looking for heroin, because that's where the money in the big bus comes from.
Huh? Stand up there, naughty.
Absolutely love the fact that he starts giving nicknames to people in this bar too. Yeah. If you've ever been out working with a bunch of guys and you get good and spun up, you start finding inventive, not curse words to call people.
Get your hands on your fucking head. Get in there. You want to take a ride there, fat man?
Oh, bullshit.
Huh?
Now, I got to stop here for a second and explain a little something. I'm not going to front anybody off. Most of the people working for the NYPD during these days are probably long dead. In those days when the NYPD, if a New York police detective asked you if you want to go for a ride, that did not necessarily mean you were going to get booked.
Yeah.
You might be going under the railroad tracks for a little bit. So people are pretty reticent to say yes to that question.
Pay attention. We're going to ask questions later. Turn around.
You got all this stuff. Now, this is my all-time favorite. if you arrest anybody from this, you got to book all that stuff. You got to book it into evidence, which means you got a big sheet. You got to log it all in. I love his inventiveness here. 2 birds, 1 stone. Let's just take a little beer, throw it on the cup.
All right, shut up. Shut up!
Interesting behind the scenes on this scene too is all of these extras in the background. They're all a New York Police Department.
Yeah, I know, right? Everybody in this is NYPD. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. And that was Friedkin. He was like, I want the people that do this. Come on along. I want you doing it. There's your milkshake. All right, I'm going to bust ahead just a little bit here. He roused these 2 fellas. I don't want to play the whole entire clip, but there's a part at the end of this that we kind of need to get to. He roused these 2 fellas, and he gets a little squirrely, and then he decides to arrest them. He tells them to put themselves in the telephone booth. Now think about this. You're 2 cops in a bar full of 30 people, all of which want to and could probably kill you. These guys went in and handled this entire bar, the 2 of them, and got done what they needed to get done. Here's where we find out why they're actually there.
Hey, you!
Haircut.
Where you going?
You talking to me, baby?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Come here. Get out.
Oh, he starts slapping people out of the way. Get out of here. Okay. This is the part where I start paying attention and go, what does he got? What is it about this dude that he wants?
What's happening, baby?
Where you been, huh?
I've been in there.
You stand a toss?
Sure, I'm clean.
You stand the toss. You got anything on you?
You shit?
No, man.
Oh, man.
You dick Tracy somebody. I said I was clean.
I'm not going to get stuck, am I? No.
There ain't nothing worse in the world than getting a needle stick while you're frisking somebody, because you have no idea what the hell is on that needle.
Oh, I said I'm clean, didn't I?
I do. You know what happens.
Yeah, I said I'm clean. Okay, man.
Uh-oh. Now it's gone bad. Now, at this part right here, when he says, give me a nickel, for those of us old enough to remember, those bathroom doors only opened if you had a nickel or a dime, because they didn't want the public coming in and using them, so you had to pay for it.
Yeah, come here. Give me a nickel, man. Come on, give me a nickel. Come on.
I told you I'm clean. Man, what the fuck you want to come down on me like that?
Come down on me.
Oh, man. You goddamn good shit.
Then the smiles come out.
Everything's everything, baby.
Hey, how come there's nothing out there, man?
Ankle holster.
Stuff's all milk.
Ain't nothing around. Nobody's holding.
So that whole circus was to do nothing more than to go meet an informant and get a little information. And then at the end of that, I didn't play the whole thing, but Popeye asks him, he stands him up and he says, all right, well, I'll go back to work. Where do you want it? Yeah. And his informant goes, what? Oh, yeah. Where do you want it? And then, oh shit, this side. Boom. And he just pops him. And then he takes him out, drops him on his face, and they leave the bar. But that, when you mentioned gritty, when you were talking about, Friedkin ain't afraid to do the real stuff, they dragged Eddie Egan and Sonny Grasso in and said, how's this work? And they said, okay, here's what you do. And then Gene Hackman watched it. Roy Scheider watched it. And they said, all right, go to work, boys. And and everybody in there, to your point, Darth, they're all NYPD, so they kind of know what the deal is, and they make it happen. But
and
what
that's
makes
what
that
I was
whole scene so good is that they actually take the time to. Why I love it is to break down the whole process of what they do from beginning of that scene to the end of that scene when they meet the informant. Like there is no cuts or edits per se of speeding up the process. It's showing you the whole thing.
Exactly. They do.
And that's what Friedkin does best with all his movie. He sets up every person, every character, gives you a good chunk of the movie to understand the people, the places, and the story that's about to be told.
And that's the thing too, because with movies like this, you can get pretty much what's going on, what's happening, what's the plot detail in those first few minutes. Which nowadays movies, it's just like you don't know anything until the end, and you're just like, what happened here?
So they go to the bar, they start watching some people, they figure out, okay, there's a lot of drug connections hanging out with a lot of money guys, something's going on, we just don't know what it is. So now we got to pin the tail on the bad guy. And one of the better scenes in this, if you ever had to tail somebody, it's not that interesting, but when Friedkin does this, that background music that he's got going, the strings and the music, it's real sharp and grindy and tense. And he's got, Popeye and a Fed and Cloudy, they're following these bad guys and they're handing them off to one another through New York and trying not to get made and all that. And I find it hard to believe that you can make a pin the tail on the bad guy scene that interesting, but they did it. So they tail these cats around and they find out what's going on. I absolutely love the fact that they showed, not that one. Where am I at? Here you go. The bad guys are sitting down inside. It's warm. They're having, roast pig and enjoying themselves. And they're in there for an hour having dessert. So bad guys eat, pretty good. Cops, however, they do not eat so good because Popeye's standing out on the cold ass sidewalk staring through the window trying to gnaw through a slice of New York pizza. I love how they showed what a pain in the ass that job really was.
Well, they give it the realism. And
Yep.
That's where you don't get anymore. That realism of, just eating that pizza. It, in the cold. They make that authentic.
And there's an elongated scene where he's standing out there and he's literally got nothing to do for an hour and a half or whatever it is while Charnier's in there eating, and he keeps stamping his feet and blowing on his hands. And by the time he figures he can take his first drink of coffee, he goes to it and it's cold and he just throws it out. And he's probably been out there all of about 5 minutes. So
Friedkin makes the mundane interesting in this movie, right?
Right.
You wouldn't think that, standing out there in the freezing ass cold would be interesting, but the way he shoots everything, the way he gets his actors to do whatever business they've got, it makes it interesting. You're always just riveted to this.
The best part about that, what you just said, is he gets his actors to do that. And we're going to get on that in The Exorcist here in just a minute. But he had Hackman standing across. He's in that spot the whole time. Now, it goes almost 3 hours, the filming on that. And by the end of that, Hackman's like, oh, we need to wrap up, man. I'm done with this shit. But when you look at those expressions that he's making, that's not just that son of a gun's cold, man. And for anybody that doesn't know, this right here on the screen, that is Eddie Egan. That is the real live Popeye Doyle. He was in the movie. He played Simonson. He played their Cloudy and Popeye's boss. So if anybody thought, you weren't going to come along for the ride, everybody gets a little spot. Clip alert incoming. Oh, did we get busted on that? That's Donna. No, don't tease me like that now. We stopped it. We had plenty to say about it. Don't do that. You're going to throw us.
And what makes this movie so great, it's not a complicated story at all. It's simple, bare bones, meat and potatoes, and you're just following the cops and what they do from beginning to end. You're in the trenches with them. That's why the realism hits so hard, and everything. It's just simplicity of the day-to-day cop or investigator, in this case, detectives, and we have to bear down with them as viewers.
It is based on a real story, and you're right. The real story is very simple. It was a French actor got duped into letting a French gangster put a bunch of dope in his Peugeot and put it on a boat and deliver it to New York, and then they were going to go ahead and, do the sale. In this one, they used a Lincoln because tearing apart a Peugeot isn't quite as interesting as tearing apart a Lincoln. And they literally tore this thing stem to stern and could not find anything. And they're freaking out. And, they're like, we know it's in there. And, the mechanic here says, I'm telling you, Popeye, we looked everywhere. I can't find it. And he says, well, this just doesn't make any sense. How much did it weigh out of the factory? And he says, 2,400. Well, how much does it weigh now? And he says 2,650. And he's like, well, come on, it's got to be somewhere. And so they keep on going. He said, I did everything except take the rocker panels out of that son of a bitch. And he's like, come on, Harv. And then they take the rocker panels up and there's your dope. So, and they did. It was a successful thing. There's some liberties they took with the end of the story because the end of the story is not really as exciting as the movie, but, you do what you can. And they chased down Frog One, which was their affectionate name for Charnier. Charnier and them. Where did Darth put it? Right there we go. Charnier thinks he's getting away. He's on the subway, and Popeye's like, "Hey man, I'm gonna get you, you son." And Charnier's like, "Bye, see you later." And then Charnier's leaving the island, thinking the deal's done, and Popeye's like, "Remember me? See ya."
If George Lucas was here, he'd say it's like poetry, so it rhymes.
Right. Oh, I got to take that back down. It keeps playing. Sorry about that. All right. So we got that out of the way. Anybody got a favorite, anything they want to put out about French Connection? We'll roll on to The Exorcist here next, but before we wrap up, what's your favorite part of it?
For me, it'd be the car chase scene.
The car chase underneath the L. Let me see if I got something on that one.
I think
car train chase, yeah.
And you know what's funny too, because I don't know if anyone. I'm a big fan of the BC Boys, and I don't know if you ever seen the music video from them. It's called Sabotage.
Yeah, Sabotage, absolutely.
So it kind of had in there, the BC Boys are playing cops, but they're also playing the bad guys, and and then they have that bit of a car chase scene. I've always thought about every time I watch that video, it kind of reminisces of the French Connection, of just some aspect of it. I always look, because they use because they got the old cars and everything in that video, and they're dressed up as, just that style.
Yeah.
But I always like the car chasing.
And true to Friedkin form, he doesn't like to do a lot of cuts. He likes to let the camera roll and see what happens. They mounted a camera on the front of this car for the forward shot and told the stunt driver, Buddy Joe Hooker set it up, and they told the stunt driver, do not stop, no matter what you do, keep on going. And they did. And they chased the L down the whole line, and then it winds up with a pretty spectacular crash. And Popeye gets a little jacked up, and then he shoots the French hit guy, in the back as he's running up the stairs. That iconic movie poster shot where he's got his arms up in the air. NYPD was none too happy about that shot. They were like, "Hey man, we can't just shoot people in the back. We checked with the lawyer, sir. They call it murder. Damn their oily hides." So
this one too, that's got some great stunt work in it, right? Because he shoots that guy, and then you see the stunt guy does the backwards roll down the stairs.
Yep.
Right, and it's not a dummy; it's like a stunt man
it's him.
in that shot. Ooh, and they don't cut away. It's like the one shot. Boom, boom.
And them ain't padded. That's not some movie set stairs. That is New York subway access stairs right there. Them bad boys are metal, and I'm sure they hurt. So, hail to. You know what I found out the other day that just drives me nuts? Not only is there not a stuntman Academy Award, there's no plan to do one in the future. Do a category in the future. That just that blows my mind.
Casting, but
I was gonna say they gave one for casting.
Yeah,
casting
nice.
For what?
How about we do one for the people that are actually taking the bumps and bruises, you ding dongs?
Well, it's an abomination at this point, so.
It's funny.
Right?
It's funny. I'll just be quick on this, but think about this. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. The only reason why Christian Slater's in that movie, because his mother was the cast director. Yep. That was it.
For which one now? I missed that?
Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
So Christian Slater plays a small cameo in that movie, but because his mother was the casting director. So everyone's like, oh my God, it's Christian Slater. And then everyone's saying, oh yeah, he's a big Star Trek fan. Well, he's not. Well, even if he was a big Star Trek fan, he's in that movie because of his mom. So.
Oh boy.
Up pays off.
Yeah, I suppose. It's not what you know, it's who you blow. All right, whatever. Let's move on to my least favorite movie of William Friedkin's for one reason, because it just creeps me the hell out.
Can I just say one more thing about
yes, sir.
The French Connection here.
Yes,
There's
sir.
some great bits in this film. Obviously, the foot car train chase, legendary, right? He beats the shit out of that Pontiac Le Mans,
Oh yeah,
and it still keeps going. You know,
when cars were cars.
yeah, exactly. When cars were cars, right? The movie's also got, a perfect, almost perfect tight running time, 102 minutes. It's just, there's not a wasted scene in this film. And it just goes. You're sucked in, and then it's just, you're on the edge of your seat the whole time, right?
You know what kind of editing discipline that's got to take when you're dealing with free. You know who else was really bad about this? Elaine May. And I only throw this in there because this got her actually in trouble with a lot of studios, and she probably didn't work because of this after a while. There's a movie called Mikey and Nicky. If you ever get a chance, it's Peter Falk and John Cassavetes. And they're a couple of small time hoods, and they kind of, do their thing through New York. But what both of these two did, Friedkin and May, they would tell the film crew, just start rolling. I'm not going to call action. They know what their blocking is. We'll let them do their thing. You just keep rolling no matter what. They may get up, walk away, just leave it rolling. You know how much daggone stock footage those people had to go through to put that together. I mean, their editors must have had just unbelievable endurance to get maybe 5 minutes out of an hour and a half worth of film for a scene. That's some unsung hero kind of shit right there, man. I mean, I can't put 2 clips together without having to get up and walk around. You know what I mean? These guys are, oh God, I can't imagine
with
trying
actual
to edit
film.
Yeah, right. Of actual film. I can't even imagine trying to edit a Friedkin movie. That would blow my mind.
Quick question before we
Sure.
move on. Going back to the French Connection, and I know we talked about this backstage regarding the French Connection too.
Ah, yes.
Because this was such a masterpiece for the first one, you wondered where, did Gene Hackman you figured he's like, okay, I'm going to do this movie, but we got to do it. It's got to be better than the first.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm coming back in my role.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like, well, I'm just getting a paycheck or whatever. I'm just gonna do it. But it's like, and I'm just gonna go. It's like Top Gun Maverick. I didn't want a Top Gun Maverick, but obviously because of Tom Cruise, he basically said, "This is how we're gonna do this movie. It's either we do it this way or we're not doing it at all." So you figured with Gene Hackman, with this successful movie, he could have just said, "Listen, this is the way we're doing this." I get it. Actors don't have clout like a Marlon Brando or how he did things, for like Superman or Apocalypse Now. Mm-hmm. But you gotta think where he had to have some say where like that movie completely bombed.
I think what happened on that one, there's not a huge amount of material on this. There is a bit. From what I gathered, the original was so tight because it was a set story. It had a point A to point B story. It was an actual case file. And it was easy to go through, get some of the feds that were on it, get some of the NYPD guys, and sit down and go, okay, how'd this happen? How'd that happen? The second one turned into a what if, and because Friedkin left the ending open, and I think a bunch of these guys got together and sat down and said, we don't really have a solid case file we can point to, but what if you went over? We imagine it would be sort of like this. This is kind of sort of how that would roll. So I think the story kind of dicked him on that. I know Gene was there because Eddie Egan was still a technical advisor. So Gene Hackman was like, yeah, man, if Eddie's in, I'm in, that kind of thing. So, but I think the story got real convoluted because instead of a set case file, it was more of a what if deal.
Yeah.
So, and it went off the rails, and Hackman was just, doing it. Everybody was just kind of putting it together as best they could. That's one of those movies I think about halfway through, they kind of looked at it and went, we may have made a mistake here, fellas. we might have got off the beaten path.
Because it's one movie I just avoid if it's like, do I want to watch French Connection too?
Oh yeah, I'll go straight to the History Channel before I watch the French Connection too. It's on TNT or whatever. You're like, nah, pass. I'll keep going.
Never seen it, so
yeah,
I've avoided it.
Can't say how bad it is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
There's one good line in the whole movie. It's some French guy he's trying to get through to that doesn't speak a word of English, and Popeye tells him he's going to hit him so hard in the belly he's going to break his back, and then the rest of the movie's a total waste of your time. I mean, you go through that whole he gets him hooked on heroin thing. Okay, that's cute. Now what? It's sort of over with.
So I say with French Connection, growing up in New York and having to drive into Queens and Brooklyn and all those places, going under the train trestles, all that and everything. Everybody, it doesn't matter. It's French Connection. Here we go. So knowing, even though when you're driving under it, because I know they split. Most of it was filmed in Queens, that scene, and I think they did other pickups in Brooklyn. But regardless, you go through it. It's like, okay, we're crossing under the French Connection again. This is the Popeye Doyle. So it's just part of the lore of the area.
Did they pick some pretty good spots for that?
It's just the train itself. You could just follow it for as long as it goes, and they did the whole run of it. So,
right. You look at places. Man, I ate there one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just like you're in it. That's it.
Nice. All right, we've put it off long enough, boys. Let's get to it. My least favorite William Friedkin movie, The Exorcist. Now, here's another one, though. Here's another example of Friedkin reads a story and loves it and decides he's going to go for it. He got a hold of William Peter Blatty and said, want to make this into a movie, and they went with it. It's the opening scene where Father Marin decides he runs across the statue of Pazuzu. This is supposedly Iraq or whatever. And they, that's where they kind of begin the movie at. And then you get to, they go to the house and Chris, the actress, and her daughter Reagan, they show the little, we have an idyllic little life, and we moved here because we got a new film for Mom, and they're all happy, and look at our idyllic little life. And then pretty soon, some weird kind of things start happening. She goes downstairs in the middle of a party and decides to pee all over a rug and disturbs the hell out of everybody. And Mom
really tied the room together too. So.
Oh man, the rug pissers did this, man. And then things go Reagan starts playing with a Ouija board, and Captain Howdy shows up, and shortly thereafter, she starts hopping all over the bed. And Mom decides finally, I think I better call someone. I better talk to somebody about this. She gets a broke arm, and so she talks to Father Karras and says, hey, you want to come check this out? And Father Karras is, I think he is the anti-hero. He's the Friedkin anti-hero in this one. And instead of, cop who's actually a better criminal than he's a cop, in this one, it's priest with a real crisis of conscience, crisis of faith, rather, excuse me. Karras is he's not just a priest, he's also a psychologist, and or psychiatrist, and he's kind of torn in between that medical and world of faith, and not really sure what he's up to, which way does he want to go. And he stops by and checks the kid out and says, okay, look, I better talk to, there's a death nearby before that happens. And Father Karras, this is the one character in a Friedkin film where I go, what is this dude doing here? You got Lee J. Cobb, who is Lieutenant Kinderman, and I'm not really sure. I could have done without this part of the story. You could have gone strictly with the metaphysical.
Police investigation that really goes nowhere in the film, right?
Yeah, he investigates one death and nothing really comes of it, and then they go straight into the whole possession, and the Father Karras and Father Marin show up and do the deed, and they're getting after it. And I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. We'll back up after this, but Karras does his thing and takes the bullet, and then Lee J. Cobb just shows up at the end and goes, "Yep, he's dead." And then that was it. I'm like, why is Kinderman in this movie? Did I miss something with him? Anybody in the chat have anything on why Kinderman was in there? Or or am I missing something? No, I'm not talking about. I
Might
see.
have been just because,
Not curious. I'm talking about.
Blatty wrote the script and it was in his novel, and maybe he just wanted to put as much of the
That's
novel
true.
into the movie as he could. I'm not sure, because it seems to sort of go nowhere. He shows up for a little bit, interviews a couple people, and then
All right.
he's gone. And he's basically gone from the film, right?
Yeah. He just hangs out and doesn't do much until the very end, and he comes out and looks at the stairs and goes, "Yep, that's what happened." And then that was it for him. And I go, curious, but okay. I don't know if he just wanted to throw an element of the secular in there just to kind of offset the rest of it, or what the hell was going on. But they check Reagan out and they do this. I threw this one in just because this scene, believe it or not, was the first one that disturbed. She's getting the spinal. This was the one that really disturbed a lot of people early on in the movie, that most of the complaints were about, believe it or not. So I found that interesting. I was doing some background and I found
That's
out
the Spinal Tap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out, if there's medically, they've done everything they can to this kid, and they're trying to figure out, is there anything medically wrong with her? And that apparently was the one that really set people's teeth on edge. And I go, oh, okay, if that's the way we're going to go. So they go in the church. Father Karras goes, he says, "Hey, I got a problem on my hands. I think I might need to do an exorcism. What do we do here?" And they go, "Well, there's one guy you need to see." And in comes Father Merrin. And he's kind of creepy. Chris isn't really wild on him, but he's the man with the plan. Now, you remember at the beginning when he was in Iraq and he saw that statue? There's a reason, and we're going to get to this in short order because I ain't going to beat this movie up, but there's a reason Father Merrin's there, and he kind of ties this whole story together. So Merrin gets there. They get to work. Let me put this up real quick. Oh, wait, I got one too. Let me put this up real quick as well. Sorry, I had these in order and then I kind of got out of order. I got a sidebar here real quick. Linda Blair was 12 years old when they made this movie, and she had a lot of people going, "Hey, there's a lot of weird stuff in this show. Are you sure you're going to be able to do it?" And apparently she was just a total trooper. Now Friedkin's like, "Oh yeah, look how great we get along," and all that. He was really mean to a lot of people, which his sort of image in Hollywood was, yeah, he's a great director. He's a complete nightmare to work with. He will do some crazy things. He's been known to slap a lot of people. He's been known to, do horrible things. There's another one. There's a cute shot of them that from the set.
He got those performances out of these actors. He got what he wanted on the screen by being a hard ass.
Yeah.
That was the time when you could be a hard ass. Now you can't even look at somebody sideways without having HR all up in your grill. But
yeah, he knew the rules and he didn't care. There's one story about this where Linda Blair was having a hard time being extra sad or something, and she used to shoot all day long and be really excited to finish because she wanted to go get a milkshake. And one day, and the only thing she wanted to do was go get a milkshake, and it was her big deal. And Friedkin told her one day, "No, I'm sorry, no milkshake for you today," and he was serious. "No, you ain't getting one today because you didn't shoot for shit, and you kind of screwed up the whole day, and now we're all behind, so we're not going to be able to do anything." And she started crying, and he snapped his fingers, and on the camera went, and then, there's your great shot. And I thought, well, that's kind of a dick move, but got what he wanted, and it worked. So Father Merrin goes in, he gets to work. He figures, okay, I'm going to go back to what I do best. Now he's getting up there in years, so he's having kind of a tough time with this. Karras, as the young guy, he goes in and sees, what's up with this kid. He sees a little bit of this action right here and decides, he gets pea soup spit on him, and then he takes one look at this little girl and goes, "I'm out." I ain't interested in this, man. So Merrin says, "No problem. I'll take over. I got her from here." The unfortunate part of that is he's an old dude. That demon ain't going easy. And Merrin winds up on his back from a heart attack. Done deal. So now Karras busts in and he finds old Linda Blair laughing at the devil. I want to give a shout out to Mercedes McCambridge, by the way, on this work, because without her voice acting, this movie don't work. She's a actress that did the voice of Pazuzu that really creeped everybody out. And aside from her makeup, which was fantastic, this one gets overlooked. Max von Sydow was 40 years old 42, I think, when they filmed this. He looked nothing like this in real life. I was rolling through. I couldn't find a side-by-side, sadly enough, but this is how the makeup crew did for him on the film. They had to age him 30-some years, and they did such a good job. They did not win, believe it or not, an Academy Award for makeup or special effects. Their only 2 takes were Best Sound and Best Adapted Screenplay. They did, however, make in between $185 and $193 million. So, you know, I don't think they cared too much about the Academy Award. I found a shot of him when he was, in fact, the age that he was supposed to be in the movie. And by God, if they didn't hit it wrinkle for wrinkle, they did a fantastic job. The psychic, they thought, I don't know, somebody in chat, JJ, said something about the psychic showed up drunk. Well, same as the rest of the crew.
Yeah. One of the things about this movie, of course, at the time was 1973, is it was the most profitable horror movie ever made at that point. I mean, it transcended this whole supernatural horror genre. I mean, when I first saw this, I was probably 14 or something, and I thought, oh, this is really cool, and sitting around with friends watching it on a VHS tape or something. But imagine, if you will, seeing this in the theater in 1973, having never seen anything else like this in the cinema before. What other horror movies were there before that? There was a lot of slow burn stuff. There was a lot of French impressionistic horror. There was things like that. But like this film, something like this had never been seen before.
Hitchcock was about as far as you could go, and they didn't allow him to show, a knife touching a body, the Janet Leigh shower scene. Like, no, can't show that, can't show this. That's about as far as they got prior to this thing. That movie take they had too. This thing was in the theater in one form or another for 2 years straight. So that rake that they took was pretty phenomenal. But they had an extended version, and then everybody wanted to go see it. And then you got, Father Karras gets it down. We get down and dirty, and he coaxes the demon out and does his thing. He winds up, I don't imagine too many people are going to want to go out and see this, so I'll go ahead and spoil the ending. If anybody wants to close their ears for a minute, you can. But right when Father Karras gets, possessed, he decides he's going to eat one. He jumps out the window and down the stairs he goes. Figures, okay, that's it. I took it with me, and we're all done. And then Kinderman comes out and looks and goes, yep, he's dead. So, at the end of that, I go, okay, not really sure how that happened. But here's the one thing I always wanted to know about this film. Why the little girl? Why did Pazuzu pick that little girl? Apparently, I'm reading backstories on this thing. Apparently, that's the same one Marin beat in his first exorcism. So Pazuzu wanted another run at him and knew Karras was an easy target. And that little girl and her mom were apparently not religious. So he knew there was an easy in, to get her on. She was alone all the time. She didn't have any friends. And I thought, okay, that's an interesting take. Fair enough. I don't know that William Blatty ever admitted that was the case, but that's what most people who have seen this have said. We've read it enough times to figure out that's how it went. I go, okay, great. There is way more backstory on this movie than there is movie at this point. The lawsuits on this thing have just been incredible, and it's all people that were involved in it. Will Blatty sued the studio. Then he sued Will Friedkin in the studio. Then Will Friedkin sued the studio. Then the studio sued. It just was never ending. I want my name in the credits. I am not. There were stunt women. The spider walk that she does, the little girl, that was a gymnast stunt woman that didn't get in the credits, and she was in there for 23 seconds, and she wanted the credits, so she sued the studio. There's the whole cursed set.
Theatrical release.
Yeah, exactly. Her 23 seconds wound up on the floor for the theatrical, and they're like, oh, well. Then they put him in at the 2007, I think, re-release it was. Yeah. And then she got back in there and all that, so that was good. But the interesting one to me was the cursed set story. You can go through and you can read all the mishaps that they had. You got carpenters that are doing sets that lop off fingers and toes, and people are getting hit by trucks and all that kind of weirdness. Well, here's the thing about that. Their shooting schedule originally was supposed to be roughly 40 days. And then it turned into 80 days, and that's hard fast 80 days. 80 days turned into over 200 days. When you spend an entire year shooting a movie, people on your crew and cast are going to get injured. They're going to die eventually. Some of these actors are old. So I kind of looked at that and went, yeah, there ain't much that whole cursed set thing. Unless somebody's got a better explanation of that.
Not really. I barely saw this movie when it came out.
All right, perfect. Let us put that creepy piece of thing away, man. I will say this. That's one of those movies I saw one time in my life and I go, yeah, I got it. Thanks. I don't need to do that again ever.
It took me a long time to get around to seeing this movie.
Just to watch it again today, just for the show, just for our stream.
Did you watch it just for this?
Yeah.
Did you watch
when
it
I was
just
14 and watched it today? Just
Holy
for this.
shit. Oh my goodness. Spider, did you watch it just for this?
No. I mean, I watched a couple of years ago, but I remember enough of it.
Because anybody that watched it just for this show, I owe you a $50 super chat the moment.
I mean, yes, I did.
No, I got you on tape. No. Yeah, if you went through that just for this, man, I owe you a whiskey or 5. Because, yeah, that thing is creepy.
So, I want to interject on that.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It is a disturbing movie. It is a horror movie. But since it took me so long to get around to watching it, maybe it was just, I see this more as a philosophical piece on top of the horror element of it, because you have the priest the old priest who is at the end of his rope. He's he's dying out soon, so he's going out. You got the young priest who is split between he's of two minds, but he's questioning his faith. And then you have the mother, who's an actress, non-believer, but then when everything happens, it's lover of the daughter that all kind of winds everything together. And then those three people pretty much interject and intertwine that Venn diagram of, all right, how are we going to go about doing this, and who knows what and knows this, and what, who, what, where, no, when, why, and that whole thing. And that's what I always took away from this movie and the dialogue of it.
How's Zephyr Canine a whiskey for it? Saw it originally, passed me a whiskey. There you go. I will say this, Spider, to your point, here's my favorite part of this whole movie, and I take this away every time I even see that little girl or think about this movie. William Peter Blatty was a seminary student, the guy that wrote the author of The Exorcist. He was a seminary student. And Father Marin is actually based on one of his teachers. He has said many times, and he was right. This is not, believe it or not, a story about the devil. This is actually a story about God. He said, I tried so hard in so many different ways to get people to believe in God, and nobody would ever do it, that I thought the only way I could do it was write a story about the devil, because for some strange reason, people have no problem believing in the devil. And when the movie came out, he did many, many interviews, and he said that almost every time. If you believe, how can you watch this movie and not believe in God? And people, Dick Cavett stopped in his tracks. When you stop Dick Cavett in his tracks on an interview, you got a point. And he stopped Dick Cavett dead cold, and he went, oh, that's a good point you got there. So well played. I wish there was another way that he could have gone about that, but unfortunately, human beings don't learn easy lessons. We only learn hard ones. And on that, I want to bring up a highly underplayed William Friedkin masterpiece,
which I just saw for the first time the other day.
What'd you think?
I loved it.
That's good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'll get into it, when we
get it. All right, good. We'll get there. All right. 1977, Sorcerer. We have moved on from 73. We're at 1977, Sorcerer. This is a remake of a movie called The Wages of Fear that William Friedkin saw when he was very, very young. And this was one of those days, I'm going to make that movie myself. And here we go. Here it is. 22 million budget. Unfortunately, only a $9 million box office. There was a New York Times review piece that called it many years later down the line, perhaps the last masterpiece of the 1970s. And this is also for you soundtrack freaks. Tangerine Dream's first big appearance on the soundtrack on this, which absolutely makes this movie. Now, here's the reason that this thing only made $9 million at the box office. It's a phenomenal movie, but guess what movie came out the exact same time that Sorcerer did?
The Star Wars
Star Wars. You
may have heard of.
Yeah. This thing was out in wide release, and Star Wars was in half as many theaters and absolutely destroyed it right off the bat. Just killed it. It absolutely. People you could go to a theater. They would if they had 4 theaters, 4 showing, 4 screens, 3 of them would be Star Wars and 1 of them would be this thing. And finally they said, we're going to get rid of this thing so we can have 4 screens of Star Wars because it's absolutely killing it. So it got destroyed. Now, here's the problem with that. It is also, in my opinion, Roy Scheider's best work. Most of his movies, even Jaws, and I'm going to defend this statement with my hands. Even Jaws, he's Chief Brody, but he's kind of second fiddle to the shark, but especially to Quint and Hooper, because those two together, they're never. When he's in a scene with either, he's got one scene with Hooper where he's not with another person. And everything else, it's usually the 3 of them together. And they just walk roughshod all over them.
What about, he was pretty good in 2010.
Agreed. But he didn't get to do what he gets to do in Sorcerer. You get to see a man who goes from the bottom to the top to the bottom to the top just repeatedly until he is absolutely battered at the end of this movie. He does. His life is just a roller coaster, this whole thing. And the beating that he takes in the jungle is ridiculous. Now, I'm going to quick set the stage for nobody that's seen it yet. Here's the story. Keep your story simple. Keep it interesting. 4 guys, different backgrounds, all of them bad, running from their backgrounds, wind up in a Central American desolate shithole. They're hiding out. Oil well erupts in this Central South American country that they're in, because it never specifies. That's why I say that. It never specifies what country you're in. You kind of make the Central American country leap. Okay.
So it just makes up a fake name, and that's what you get in like a
Costa Grava. Let's call it Costa Grava, whatever it is. So they all wind up there. Oil well blows, kills a bunch of the locals who are working there. Locals are pissed off. Oil company says, okay, we got to put this thing out. We're losing bajillion dollars every second. There's one way to do this. We got to blow it up. That's how you do oil well fires. You blow them out, which means you got to get some dynamite. Well, the dynamite's over 200 miles away. It's 218 miles away. They go there and they find out the dynamite is sweaty. We'll get to that part in a minute. So how are we going to get it there? We cannot fly it in. We're going to have to drive it. So you got to drive it through the jungle, get it there, blow up the oil well. That's it. That's the story. Okay. Yeah. You like that desolate shithole? That's the best I could. It's the best way I could describe it, man. That's really what it is. If you've seen the movie, they do a really good job. Friedkin shows this place like, wow, this is living hell. So let's kick off. We'll do this quick. Here's our first victim. He's a hitman. Okay. Friedkin loves to whack his audience right between the eyes right off the bat. This guy shows up about 10 seconds after the intro card. He goes in this hotel. He's in Veracruz, walks in the door, whacks this dude, turns around, walks out. Super easy breezy. You don't need to figure Nilo out. You know what he's about. Our second victim, this is a great story. This fella is Kasim. Kasim and his buddies pass themselves off as young Jewish students. They leave. They're sitting on a stoop waiting for a bus. One of them leaves their backpack on the stoop that they're sitting on. When they get on the bus, as soon as the bus drives away, guess what happens to the backpack? Yeah, Kasim is not a young Jewish student. He's a Palestinian. Okay, so we follow Kasim. He's gets chased down by the IDF. They get his buddies. He's the only one that gets away. He decides, okay, I got to get on the lam. That's two. Third is this well-to-do French banker cat named Manzon. And as you can see from the closed captioning here, from the dubbing, he's in trouble. Okay. Not only is he in trouble for the fraud thing, it's his father-in-law's bank. And his brother-in-law, he tries to talk into, you got to go out and get us the funding from your dad. Dad says no. He tries to talk him into it again. Brother-in-law goes out into the parking lot of this restaurant that they're having this conversation in and Minecrafts himself in the car. And then Manzon goes out, sees him, takes off running. That's the last you see him till he gets to Costa Grava. Now we get to our main, I want to say protagonist, but kind of a scumbag, Jackie Scanlon. Jackie Brody. Jackie Scanlon. Roy is a small-time Irish gangster. He and his crew decide that they're going to rip off a church bingo game / card take. It's basically just a mobbed up church. And they go into the basement and they decide we're going to knock these dudes off. Well, that don't go so smooth. One thing leads to another. Some shots exchanged. Scanlon and his buddies get into a getaway car outside. Figure, okay, we're out, we're free and clear. And much like when any Irish gangsters get together, they start arguing in the car, and one of them slaps the other one in the head, and then they start fighting, and they distract Roy Scheider, who's the driver. They distract Scanlon. And this is how the car winds up. And as you see, Scanlon's waking up. All the other boys are done deal. They had all the money in the trunk. It's spilled out all over the street now. Scanlon gets up and realizes, okay, cops are showing up. He realizes he's cooked. He goes and runs to his mob buddy who tells him, hey, man, you are on the hit parade. You got to get out of here. Now, I love that they have this scene because if you see this movie, I'm not going to spoil the ending of this movie for you because it's fantastic. And Friedkin does this, and we're going to do this again in To Live and Die in LA. All right. You have that everything's going to be okay ending thing. And then, you know, Hollywood execs get upset. So his buddy here on the right tells him, look, I got a place you can go. Nobody's ever going to find you. You're not going to like it, but it'll at least keep you alive. He heads down there. We're going to skip ahead to the oil well part. They live these absolutely miserable existences down there, and they do. Friedkin does a great job of, there's always a bar. No matter where in the world you go, no matter how horrible the place is, there's a bar there, right? Sorcerer's got its bar, just like everybody else. So they spend a lot of time, and that's where these boys meet. Well, oil well goes up, and they do some amazing shots of that. You know, that I don't know how much the special effects had to cost on just these oil well shots. And they decide, okay, we're going to go ahead and drive. They go, here's one of my favorite parts. Here's the problem with dynamite. Now you see the dynamite sticks on the bottom, and then this guy's fingers, he has nitroglycerin all over his fingers. He has reached down into the wax paper that this dynamite is sitting in these boxes. It has been leaking nitroglycerin. It sweats. If you don't turn it, dynamite sweats. Here's the problem. That nitroglycerin is less stable than Crispin Glover after a few whiskeys. Okay. So here's our problem. How do we get those crates from here to there? They decide, well, we're going to get some fellas and they're going to just drive these trucks. They have this competition. They have all kinds of these local ding-dongs get behind the wheel of a truck and try and drive it, and they have this bottle on the dash, and if the water in the bottle crosses this line, if they bounce it around too much, they're out of the competition. Well, Jackie Scanlon, luckily enough, used to drive a Greyhound bus. He's a very good driver, so are the other three. Great. You boys are on board. Now, they're thinking, super, because the company has promised them this is a super dangerous job. You are probably not going to live. If you win, if you get it there, we're going to get you $1 bajillion and you'll be able to get out of this country, which is all they want to do. So these boys win. You get to drive the trucks. If you live, you get $1 bazillion. Here's the problem. You also got to fix the trucks. Here's all we got. So they go through this yard with all these beat up, hulked out pieces of trash, and they got to make everything work. They have this amazing, probably 4-minute scene where they do a lot of cuts between all of the guys doing their specialty. One guy's doing body work. The other guy's, timing the engine and gapping the plugs and all of that fun stuff. Montage. It is not a 14-minute slow motion Zack Snyder cut of wheat waving in the wind. It's actually
the opposite of that.
It is the opposite of that. It's actually fairly pumped up. And then they get the trucks going, and then you get to meet for the first time Sorcerer. Now, the movie is titled Sorcerer. There was another truck that was in there. They named the trucks. There's 2 trucks, 3 crates each. So that's where the name Sorcerer came from. Friedkin actually picked that up from the locals when they went down and shot it. They had these trucks that were hauling things, set pieces and food and all that stuff. And these guys would write names on their trucks. And he goes, that's pretty interesting, because he's still having trouble with how do I get around the wages of fear, because that's still tied up. All right. So we got that. I am not going to show too much of the travel because I want y'all to watch it. I want to give you an idea of what the roads look like down there. This is the kind of thing, you got to go around this curve. Keep in mind, you got 3 cases of sweaty dynamite in the back of your truck. You cannot rock and roll that truck. It's a 2.5-ton truck minimum.
No.
You got an issue, right? Now, here's the one that got Friedkin in trouble on this movie. There is a scene where they get to a bridge, but not a regular bridge like we have here in the United States. It is a Central American shithole bridge. It is vines and logs. Now, this being William Friedkin, he dammed up this river so it would flow a little bit differently. They had them kind of take this bridge. This is actually a functional bridge underneath all this stuff. He had them cut away some of the supports so it would look a little more rickety. And the locals are like, what are you doing to our bridge, man? And he's like, don't worry, it's going to look great on film. And they're like, we don't care about the film, man. We got to use this thing, right? So he got himself into a little trouble with that. However, it made for a fantastic shot.
Oh, that whole scene on that, when they're taking both of those trucks across, it's like, yeah, you're pissing yourself just watching this, and you can't even imagine.
My favorite part
guys
is
are going through, right?
The river's going underneath them. That is a real deal. And here's the problem. They put actual holes in this bridge, right? Well, his A driver, so whoever's behind the wheel, you're the driver, and then you got your A driver, whoever's riding shotgun, right? Here's the problem. Your A driver has to get out on foot and guide you across that bridge because you can't see where the holes are in the truck. He's got to guide you left and right with his hand. They had people dropping through them holes on a regular basis, and then they'd have to go snatch them up 10 feet, or 10 yards or whatever down the river. They had little, safety ropes. So they'd snag a stunt guy off a safety rope, get him back on the bridge. It's just a total disaster, but it made those scenes absolutely work. It is some of the sweatiest palm movie you're ever going to watch. Now, there's not just the jungle to contend with. You have got all kinds of, here's another one they run into Hey, the roads are kind of crap down here. Oh, and there's a gigantic tree that's fallen across the one that we need to get across. We got no tools on board. What do we do here? I'm not going to spoil it. It's one of the more incredible, ingenious things I've ever seen somebody solve a problem. It was super simple, and yet I would have never thought of it. Would have never crossed my mind. And the worst part, the jungle is not your only enemy. You got banditos to worry about, and they probably really want what you got in the back of your truck.
They don't need no stinking badges.
They don't need no stinking badges at all. They need the stinking dynamite in the back of your truck because they're waging a war. Now, they have 218 miles to go. Roy Scheider writes it on the dash of his truck. You're doing good and everything's great, except at the, getting close to the end, he looks down when the gas stops and he sees 216 on the odometer. It said 0 when they started. That means we're about 1.5 miles short here. So now we got a problem. And I am going to leave it right there. Y'all go check it out and see the ending. And I'm going to kick it out. Do it, boys. What'd you think?
Mind if I go first?
Go first, Spider.
Yes, since this is my first time seeing it, I was actually blown away, and just want to reiterate on what I said before about how Friedkin takes the time to build the characters and the story, and boy, does he do it in this movie. I mean, it's a 2-hour movie, and the whole first hour is just a build-up for that second hour, essentially, which plays perfectly. And it must have been an extremely lean script because there's not a lot of dialogue in this movie. It's all sold by actions, reactions, shots, that whole kit and caboodle of master filmmaking right there, of the tensions that build up, how the actors work off each other just from tense situations, which you love. The thing with the tree at the end, toward the end, you know what they're going to do, but it's how they do it that grabs you in. And that's like 10 minutes of just doing that whole thing, which is incredible. And that's what I love so much about the movie. And Giles, you and I have had this conversation of saying less and telling the story with more of just actions and that droning Tangerine Dream soundtrack. Something's going to go wrong or they're headed to something. And
to your point,
it was really just it caught me off guard.
To your point, that 10 minutes of MacGyver ingenuity with that tree, not one word of dialogue in that whole thing. Mm-hmm. The last time they speak is when they decide, okay, this is our plan, and that's it. And then you got the next 10, 12 minutes of some of the coolest movie making you'll ever see, man.
So, yeah, to just piggyback on what Spider said there, man, I mean, you have this opening and you get introduced to all these disparate characters. And, I saw this one for the first time myself, like last week. And I'd been hearing about it for years, and RMB talks about this movie and Robert Meyer Burnett. But I just love how it all sort of opened, and it pulls you right in the way Friedkin does, where he's get all these beautiful, long, big establishing shots, gets these characters, introduces you, and then and then suddenly, you got this Tangerine Dream soundtrack going on. And it's just, come on, what can you say about that group that hasn't already been said, I suppose, right? And what I liked about this as well, you got 2 cinematographers that Friedkin was working with this, John Stevens and Dick Bush, and they used all this sort of natural lighting. There wasn't a lot of big studio lights in these shots. It was all either it was the sunlight or it was candles inside, or it just gave this movie a real pop on screen. It looks beautiful. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love how he also sort of captures this insane, I guess it's a South American fake country, but the intense oppressive heat and the desperation of the men in every second of this journey, right? You can just see it. It's like the sweat and the jungle canopy and all of this stuff. And you just, like the whole time. You know, your
It's like,
your heart's in your
having
throat
trouble breathing.
watching
It's
these
humid in
guys
here,
trying to
man.
get
What's
through
going on?
this.
It's that's one of those things you look at it and you just sweat just watching it. It's so hot and awful.
You know, I was trying to remember. There was another movie that had like a similar opening. In that style. I just can't remember what it was, but but that opening just reminded me of something I watched before, where it had like that, just a similar style opening.
Where you get that foreshort vignette and then right into
yeah. And it was bugging me after I watched it. I was like, what was that movie I watched? Because there's always something you reference back and how, you know, I like just another movie. I don't know if you guys remember that movie. Oh, it came out in the 70s, late 60s, or early 70s, but something Gleaming. There was one when they hijacked a ICBM base. Something Gleaming.
I will take a look.
But anyway, they basically took that move from the TV show 24, where they do the cut screens. And when I watched that movie, I go, that's where they got that from.
Yeah, it's a pretty good setup. I like that if you're going to do a whole shit ton of exposition up front, it better be really interesting. And I love that Friedkin whacked it up too. Look, let's just find out as little as we need to know about these guys to understand their situation. They are in a thing that they cannot get out of, and then boom, they're gone right on to the next story. You know, you don't even get that I care for him because I like him because they're a good guy. Nothing. It's straight out. This guy's a hitman. This guy's a terrorist. This guy's he's a bank criminal, and this guy, he's a white collar criminal, and this guy's a mobster. And then boom, they're gone. And straight into, all right, now you're all bottom lip deep in the cesspool. Go to work. Friedkin don't mess around, man. He gets right into when we get to the next one. That's where I'm gonna really. It's one of my favorite Friedkin openings in the world, and we'll hit that in a second. But actually,
what I like this movie capitalizes on is that you got these four bad guys that are bad in their own environments, but then when you put them against Mother Nature, they're petrified. They don't know what.
Oh yeah, they're done. They're cooked, man, and they know it. They know they're cooked. And I love that Scheider gets the freak out. You know, that's the thing. That's why I say this is his best work. He's cool in some situations. You know, the cops come in and roust him, and he's super he's used to it. He's a gangster. That's something that he can handle down here, you know. But then you get him in that truck, and he shows up to that tree, and he just loses it because they're already 100 and some miles down the road, and he's like, "Oh my God, you can't tell me that we're, this far into it, and I'm going to get cooked by Mother Nature on this." And he flips out because the other guy, his aid driver's like, "Yeah, we ain't doing anything." And Scheider's like, "Well, we're going to have to figure something out because we got to get this done, man." And he just loses. And he does that several times throughout the movie. And it's just fun to watch him go back and forth.
Oh, that movie was called Twilight's Last Gleaming with Burt Lancaster.
Burt Lancaster. Okay.
And Burt Young. So
wow.
Yeah.
Before he was Paulie.
Yeah, so basically it was a movie about them hijacking. There were three, they escaped a military prison, and they basically hijack a ICBM base to get the president to do. But they did these side shots like in 24. And because this movie came out in 1977, and I remember just watching, and I was just like, wait a minute, that was 24. So that's why for Sorcerer, there was a movie I watched, and it just had that same opening, and it was killing me trying to remember what it was.
And now you will not wake up at 3 a.m. and go, "Twilight's Last Gleaming," and then go, what the hell am I screaming about?
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. Exactly.
Praise our Ra. All right. So when y'all get a chance out there, go check out Sorcerer. You can probably find it for free on YouTube if you have premium. If not, I'm sure it's very, very cheap. Physical. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. You may have a surprise. The ending will surprise you from something else you've seen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's a free. We all know what that is.
It's a total Friedkin ending, man. It is absolutely. Yeah, this guy. Oh wow, he's Mr. Open-Ended. I love it. Speaking of which, let us check out To Live and Die in L.A. Get my notes out here real quick.
The only thing I regret about Sorcerer is that I didn't see it sooner in my life, because
Yeah,
it's incredible. Once again, recommend this to
I
everybody in
agree.
the chat, and it's fantastic.
it's one of those things, and we're going to hit, just so you know, we're going to hit a bunch of that stuff. There's a lot of really great unknown movies out there. You know, The Killer Elite with Robert Duvall and James Caan, and people go, what is that? Like, you've never seen it. You're going to love it. We'll bust that down. We'll do a lot of stuff. We'll do spoiler free, and we'll tell you the story, but there's just a ton. My dad was a huge, knew all these off-brand stuff, Death Hunt, Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, and all kinds of weird. I see Darth smiling. You know what I'm talking about. We're going to find a bunch of those.
It's not a true story, that one.
Yeah. The Emperor of the North, another good Lee Marvin joint. If you ever want to check that out. I mean, we'll get all of those. We'll sneak one of those in there everywhere.
Killers?
Killer Elite.
Wasn't there one called The Killers with him and Lee Marvin and
there was one.
Ronald Reagan?
Yep. A little bit. This one's a little bit different to Killer Elite. It's it's a 70s one that
Killer
nobody's
Elite
ever
is Sam
seen.
Peckinpah.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic film. All right, let's roll through To Live and Die in L.A. This one, oh man, I can't say enough about it. This is one of mine.
Yeah, because I think this is the one I mentioned to you a little while ago.
Oh yeah, this one's one of the all-time greats, man. From Friedkin or no.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. It's funny. You know how I got it? How I knew about this movie is because I would be watching CSI. And I was a fan of William Peterson. So I liked his character. And so I was just like, what else is he in?
Yeah.
And then I watch Fear.
Yeah.
With him, Mark Wahlberg, and Alicia Silverstone. And then this one, To Live and Die. So I was just like, okay.
Did you get to Manhunter yet?
No. I know of Manhunter, but I didn't get to that one yet.
Don't wait too long on that one. That's a banger.
Oh, that's a banger.
That's a banger. Brian Cox is, I'm going to piss some people off, but Brian Cox is Hannibal Lecter. He just killed it in that one for me. But yeah, if you get a chance, don't wait on that one. All right, To Live and Die in L.A. 1985, $6 million budget, took $17.3 million at the box office. It made way more on home. Here's the deal. 1985 is when VHS is starting to take off. Home video is really starting to kick in. So they're not going to waste a lot of time in the theater. So it was kind of in and out as far as movie runs, theatrical runs go. This thing was kind of in and out. So it was a good haul, made their money back a little bit more, but kind of pales in comparison to what it's made on home video ever since. Now, here's the fun thing about this one. The author, his brother, and their dad got cameos in this movie. This story is actually tales from a real live Secret Service agent. Got in a little bit of trouble for it, to be fair. Some other people at the at Treasury got into trouble for it. But the counterfeiting process in this film is actually authentic. They hired a real live counterfeiter and said, show us how it works. Some of those scenes where you think it's Willem Dafoe doing it, it's not. It's their technical advisor. This tipped off the Secret Service and made them pay a little visit to the set more than once. Friedkin told him, okay, here, I'll give you the cut. You can have the working cut of the film. You can go show it to your bosses. They sent it back to him in the mail and said, okay, thanks, and never heard a word about it after that. Not a lot of people know this. You can't just photograph money, especially in a movie. Government gets a little freaky about that. We're going to get away with the clips because the money that's in use here is no longer actually in print. So the process is moot. They had some fantastic stunts in here. A couple of them got Bill Friedkin in trouble, especially with the LAX airport police, because there's a scene where William Peterson runs on top of the walkways. All the people at the airport are on those moving walkways, and he runs on that little railing in between them. They were told expressly not to do that, and they did it anyway, and they almost got shut down at LAX for that. Yeah, there was also that waving the gun around in the bathroom part. They got a little edgy about that. That wasn't supposed to happen. Well, it happened anyway. The car chase scenes in here. Buddy Joe Hooker gaffed their car scenes or car chase scenes. William Peterson is actually driving that vehicle in some of these scenes. And when I say some of these scenes, I mean the ones where they're moving the wrong way on oncoming traffic. And John Pankow is actually in the back of that car, and some of his expressions are not acting. William Peterson actually hit a couple of those cars very slightly, but he hit them. And it was because the timing was off because he's not a stuntman. They didn't coordinate it. And John Pankow's reaction to that is real live and in person. So they got in a little bit of trouble for that one as well. When the stunt gaffers found out, they're like, whoa, 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 what's this shit all about?
There's a really great documentary on that Blu-ray. The latest one is the Kino Lorber Blu-ray that came out, and it's got Hooker on there talking about that stunt and talking about what they did and how they did a lot of it, and the driving. A lot of it was real, but a lot of it was like they had a car, took the wheels off, it stuck it on a trailer that was low to the ground
on a drag trailer,
rigged the cameras up so like they could swing it around. So some of those scenes where Peterson's in there and they're just kind of doing this, those are just all swinging those back and forth. And the tricks they did on the freeway, where they'd have a bunch of cars just sort of stopped, and then the way they would shoot it, you wouldn't know that they were stopped. It just looks like they're
because that drag trailer's going 30 miles an hour in there. They look like they're hauling out. That's some fun, man. That'd be a fun job. All right, let's set the tale here. Opening scene, bang, you got presidential motorcade pulling up to a hotel. Agent Rick Chance is on presidential detail. He gets out. You get to meet William Peterson first thing right off the bat. You also get to meet his partner, who plays a short but very important role in this movie, Jimmy Hart. So Jimmy Hart and Rick Chance are doing a detail for Reagan, and they have a card game going in one of the upstairs hotel rooms while Reagan's giving his speech, and Chance decides he's going to leave the card game. Excuse me for clearing my throat. He's going to leave the card game. He's going to go out and check out, who else is on detail, see if anybody needs anything. And he notices this cat down the hall in a waiter's uniform dropping off a tray. That is not ever going to happen on a floor of a hotel where the presidential suite is. So Chance decides, that don't look right. Better go take a look at that. Well, sure enough, he gives chase to this waiter who winds up on the roof, strapped full of the unused dynamite from Sorcerer. And he decides he's going to make a statement. Chance says, hold on now. Let's not get crazy. I'm going to put my gun away. We'll go downstairs and talk. This guy gives him the whole, I'm going to do my thing for God and country. Well, Jimmy Hart climbs up the side of that building unbeknownst to this cat and reaches up and grabs him by the crotch and hauls him off the building while he's still got the go cable in his hand. And this fella, fortunately, harmlessly explodes in midair. Now, right from that, we go into the obligatory, where is he at? The obligatory, I'm getting too old for this shit scene. And that's where we see Chance decides, okay, maybe Jimmy is getting a little bit too old for this. It's probably time for us to think about hanging it up. Now, here's why I bring all that up. All of this happens in a span of about 5.5, 6.5 minutes. And it's also before the opening credits. To our earlier point about William Friedkin doesn't like to have people sitting around in a theater thinking about things too long. That whole thing happens before you ever even get to the opening credits. So you're kind of hooked right off the bat. Now, I only want to do two things right here. I got a bunch of stuff, but I don't want to kill this because we're going to go straight into discussion on this. I love Friedkin's caricatures. You meet Rick Chance early on. He's the presidential detail, straight-laced secret security guy. You meet your bad guy, Rick Masters, your counterfeiter. Turns out he's this real weirdo artist. You get that early on. There's some really cool visuals. He's burning his paintings on the side of his house. Not a lot of dialogue. It's a whole lot of imagery. This is the one that I love where you find out what Rick Chance is really like. You go from that straight to Rick Chance standing on, I don't know the name of this bridge. It's in San Pedro. He's about 400 some feet in the air over the water, and he just takes a dive off of this thing. And you're watching the movie going, holy shit, what's going on here? And he goes all the way down. You find out he's got a leg cable on, so he's square. But that just kind of sets up, okay, we've got your antagonist and your protagonist, and both of them are about to bubble off plumb. So it's going to be kind of hard to figure out who's doing what here. I want to show the scene. This is the one that got them. They have this whole process. This is just one little part of this process, and I just grabbed this real quick. This is another one that's got a kicking Wang Chung song in the background. We're going to talk about Wang Chung in a second, but got a kicking song in the background that goes through this whole scene, and they take you through essentially how to counterfeit $20 bills, excuse me. And it was pretty incredible. And that's when the feds stepped in and go, boys, you can't do that. That actually works. And they went, oh yeah, sorry. So Jimmy Hart decides he's going to go track down Rick Masters on his own. Chance says, I don't think that's a good idea. Jimmy Hart said, don't worry, I'm just doing surveillance. Not that big a deal. I'm just going to roll out to the desert, check his place out. Well,
don't
unfortunately,
worry, because he gave him a fishing rod, and his retirement is in 3 days' time. So I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he was so tropey. He's like, you only got 3 days left. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to go out and check out here's your fishing rod. Great. See you in 3 days. You know, Murtaugh. Well, unfortunately, Jimmy Hart gets a little careless and he don't make it. That is Rick Masters, bad guy in the background with a scatter gun. And old Jimmy Hart is cooked. Now, here's why that's important. Rick Chance, as we've established, ain't real balanced. Okay. Not only is he not the best Secret Service agent in the world, he's really attached to Jimmy Hart, and he gets bent completely out of whack when this happens to Jimmy Hart. So John Vukovich shows up as Chance's new partner, also a Secret Service agent, not anywhere near the batshit crazy that Rick Chance is. And Chance tells him right off the bat, I'm going to nail this guy, and I don't give a shit how I do it. And Vukovich tells him, oh, yeah, no problem, man. I got you. I'm with you. Yeah, well, he has no idea how much Chance means that, because they get into some wild stuff.
Got some Lowenbrow on the product placement there.
Good old 1985 product placement with some Lowenbrow. We got that running across the walkway median that got him in trouble with the LAX coppers. And Peterson even knew he wasn't supposed to do it, and Friedkin lied to him and told him, no, it's okay, it's fine. I talked to him. Everything's good. Yeah, it wouldn't. They almost got bagged over that one. There's a bit of convoluted, and I'm not going to hit on any of this because I want y'all to watch film. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Long story short, they decide they're going to go do a buy for Masters. They find out it takes a whole lot of money to buy funny money. They can't get it from their boss, Bateman, at the Secret Service. So these two boys, actually, Chance decides they're going to pull a heist. They're going to knock off this guy that's carrying real money. He's in to buy stolen diamonds. They're going to rob him off a train. Well, that doesn't go exactly like they plan it, which gets them involved in that cool car chase we were talking about. One of the better. There you go. There's that skid trailer that they're on right there, rolling through. He's banging off of cars. They're going the wrong way on the I-5 or whatever the hell highway they chose to do that. That they get out of that. They decide they're going to make the buy with Masters. They set a meet. Masters is kind of onto him. He knows they're feds. Things do not go well at the buy, and then we roll from there. Now, I'm not going to give away the ending other than to say this. The ending that happens was the first time that I saw something like that on film, and it absolutely blew my mind. It was one of those, whoa, you can't do that. Yes, you can, and they did. I'll also drop this. The studio execs said, there's no way you can do that. And Friedkin said, okay, I'll change it. And they shot a whole nother alternate ending, which was the second one was ridiculous beyond human belief. And Friedkin snuck in the original ending on him for release, and they had no choice because it was already out a week before they found out, oh shit, he put the wrong ending on there. No, he didn't.
Yeah, that second ending was lame.
It
It almost has this weird comical element to it, right, as well, which just goes against the whole idea of the film.
There's an interview with Peterson about it, and as he's telling the tale, he busts out laughing. He can't stop from laughing at how stupid the second ending was. He's like, that just is ridiculous.
It's on the
All
Blu-ray
right.
too. That whole
So
thing.
we set up the movie. For those of you in chat that want to see it, there you go. Not going to do any more spoilers on it. Spider, let us know what you thought of To Live and Die in L.A.
This is a crazy movie on all levels, and shout out to, I mean, as always, Willem Dafoe is just fantastic in anything he's in. Just the ultimate bad guy. Yeah, the beginning is crazy. Again, the building of the characters and everything. He does it again, sets it up. I think the car chase is one of the longest in cinema, and it's amazing
Absolutely.
how they got away with half of that, which is crazy.
Absolutely.
And the story and the counterfeiting, how they got that spot on, and what was I going to say? I can't remember. I'm blanking out. Go to someone else. I'll come back to it.
No worries.
One thing I want to, so when I first saw this, and then when I watched it again, I don't want to compare the two, but this had, you wonder where the movie Heat, Michael Mann's Heat, got some of their effects from.
Bingo.
Where it got some of its the dialogue, and because this was like 1985, this was almost one of a kind style of a Michael Mann style type movie. And that's how I was kind of based this on, because it's nothing you've really seen before, because you've had your action, but just the way this movie was set up, the plot, the dialogue, it would. And listen, you got Stockwell, you got Dafoe, you got Peterson, you got a wide range of actors where they actually melded and worked well together. So that's how I saw it. And that's why when I mentioned Heat, it has this. It's like we talked earlier. They have this style about them where they were able to work and make this go the way it did. So if that makes sense regarding that's why I put the Heat format in this.
For all you Dean Stockwell fans, I'm a big Columbo fan. Dean Stockwell was all over Columbo back in the days. And when he got in on this, he's got a great role as a really scummy lawyer in this movie. I love seeing him in that.
I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This movie looks fantastic. It's extremely well lit, and you got those colors of the West Coast of LA that really light it up, and it just shines fantastically.
I have one I want to your point. Let me put this up. I love that they take actual locations. They go sit down at this is a local huge bar. It's got a bunch of seats, and they're on old truck beds, and it's all over this burger bar that they got. And I love that Friedkin's like, yeah, we're going to go over to this local joint and, sit down and do it at, Bob's. And it's the gritty part of LA, It's not the shiny buildings. It's like this where these guys would actually work. I thought that was cool.
And you got to give it up to John Turturro in this movie too.
Oh man, Carl the Mule.
He's just one of those guys. And one of my favorite actors is in this Steve James. God rest his soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is. I don't think. Did I do a Steve James part? Doggone it! I can grab one here real quick. We'll find it.
He was one of my favorite actors.
He has. I think I like the part that he's got in here because he actually gets to be integral to the story. He's not just some side cat. He plays a really bad dude, and it's important to Rick Master's story. His little jump in there. That was a good time.
And you
Darth,
got a nice.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and you have a Frasier star in this too.
You stole my
all
notes
right,
there.
Garth, run with it. He took your stuff. Go ahead, run with it, man.
Okay, that's okay.
I didn't say it, but
yeah.
you can finish it.
All right, yeah, I'll get to that. This is yet another of Friedkin's neo-noir flicks. I think this is my favorite of them all, though. It's just maybe because I was the right age in the 1980s that movies like this just stuck with me. And the same thing where you were talking about, Giles, about the ending, and how, like, when I saw this for the first time with my buddy, we were just sitting there going, like,
Yeah.
what? Really?
Yep.
And this has got some great music and songs that, like, the Wang Chung composed the music, and then there was a bunch of their songs in this. It's got that whole based part right at the beginning with the member of the Religion of Peace vaporizing himself with a bomb vest.
Right.
It's always kind of funny. The whole, you mentioned the whole buddy cop trope thing.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? See you in 3 days, Murtaugh.
So, yeah, I'm retired in 3 days. Gonna be fishing. Yeah. Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah, we get, of course, to Colhauser's point, we got one of the early appearances of Jane Leaves, Daphne Moon from Frasier. She gets no lines in the movie, but she has 2 appearances in the credits. Like, her character gets a name, and she gets another credit as one of the, I think, one of the dancer choreographers or something. I mean, I'd love to have her agent at that time. You get 2 credits, you don't even have a line in the movie. But It's definitely one of my favorites of all time.
It had a lot of firsts. That ending was a first for me. Friedkin has this thing that runs through, his cop movies are very similar. His Far Out movies are kind of similar. Exorcist, and he did one called The Guardian that we didn't cover tonight. It's a little M. Night Shyamalan-y, and it's kind of goofy. It didn't do very well at the box office. I've seen it. I saw it just to say that, I've seen it, and it's, it ain't anywhere near the rest of us. That was one that he just probably took a barrel of money and said, I'm in the middle of some other project. I'll just bang this out real quick, and then, we'll get on with it. But he has this thing where every one of his characters, and this movie was the first place that it really did it for me. Every one of his characters could go either way at any point in their story. I find myself in this movie rooting for people at one point and then not rooting for them. And like, originally, I think Vukovich is just a complete waste of time. He's a total dipshit. And then he turns out later on, you go, well, he might not be. And then by the end, you're like, yeah, Chance kind of goes the opposite direction. You start out and you're like, oh, he's kind of cool. And then by halfway through, you're like, this guy's out of his fucking mind, man. We need to rein this dude in. And the one that I liked the most was Masters. Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe. There's nothing I can say that's going to make that point any better than the man does himself. But he goes through this movie. For me, I'm kind of like, okay, he's the bad guy. But then at points you're like, I kind of want him to get over on this one. And he's got this going and that going. At every one of the characters, even the side characters. Steve James' character, to your point, Jeff, Colhauser, he plays a guy named Jeff, and he's a guy that spreads counterfeit money. He goes out and sells the counterfeit money for Rick, and he plays a very integral part. It's small, but it's really important. You're kind of rooting for him, and then you're kind of not. You got 2 bad guys there together. You're like, who do you want to come out on top of this? Friedkin's really good at that. Like, every character you see, they could go either way at any minute. And this was the movie where you kind of root for everybody at one point, and then you kind of don't at another point. It's just, he just plays with you through the whole movie, and I thought it was genius. And Cole, to your point about Michael Mann's influence and William Friedkin, I think this is the first one where he actually took some influence from somebody else. I think he and Mann influenced each other. Mann later on in his Heat thing, but I think if you look at this, there's a little bit of Michael Mann in this version of Friedkin, because you just kind of how he set some of the things up with the soundtrack and the action scenes. It got a little Michael Mann-esque, and I thought that was a really good branch out for him. Now, the one thing we didn't talk about yet was Wang Chung and the soundtrack. Now, Wang Chung in the 80s, you got a couple of goofy songs that hit the pop charts, and that's great and everything, but do yourself a favor and go get this soundtrack. Just listen to it. You don't have to buy it or anything, but just listen to it, and don't do the goofy pop stuff. Do the there's a song on there called Wake Up, Stop Dreaming, and it's when they're following the train, when the boys are getting ready, they're contemplating doing their heist, and it's got that flute intro into it, and there's just a City of Angels and a whole bunch of stuff. It's all instrumental, and it's just killer. That's where the Michael Mann part came in. He freaking really on that one. He went out and got Wang Chung and said, okay, boys, here's what I want. And they did it up. He's got Tangerine Dream in one movie. He's got, Wang Chung doing it in another movie. I don't know who did the music for The Exorcist off the top of my head, but that soundtrack is absolutely haunting and killer. It's fantastic. So you can't go wrong with this. And it stands the test of time. You show this movie today and people go, holy shit, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Most cop movies you show, especially Secret Service, they have Reagan's voice in it at one point, but you take that out of there, it could be yesterday.
Yeah.
It could be, tomorrow. It's just that clean. So,
it's funny because there was 2 movies that Friedkin did that I actually liked. Was Blue Chips. That was Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal. Because they're talking about the basketball and the college and how things kind of go downhill. Well, all the illegal stuff, and then a deal of the century. Chevy Chase, Gregory Hines, and Sigourney Weaver. Because I remember I saw that at Blockbuster, and I was like, you know what? Because I was a big Chevy Chase fan back then with Fletch and everything. I was like, oh, I got to get this movie. And I remember it was a comedy. It was okay, but I still enjoyed it. And then of course Blue Chips, because we're all into the basketball for March Madness, so that was the time to watch that movie.
Yeah. He's got a few out there. I mean, he's got other good films besides these. I kind of picked, we all kicked it around. I put out, what do you boys want to see? Cole came in with To Live and Die in LA. He's got to be a must-have on there.
Yeah.
I kind of threw Killer Joe out. Everybody had their darts. Like I'm going to take, French Connection. We got to hit all that. You really have to look to find a bad William Friedkin movie. I can only think of 2 off the top of my head: Cruising and The Guardian.
Yeah.
The rest of them, they're good. I'm sorry.
I never seen Cruising.
Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. Here's the deal. Friedkin can get kind of confrontational with people. I tell you the weird thing about Sorcerer for me, I find it hard to believe that Roy Scheider worked with him on Sorcerer after having worked with him on The French Connection. Because Friedkin can get a little, it's fairly rare that people work with Friedkin more than once.
Well, he was more support in French Connection versus the lead, and so Gene Hackman probably got the brunt of it.
I tell you what, he was not the first pick for Sorcerer either. And when Friedkin heard it, he was like, oh, I don't know. And then they talked, and he was like, okay, we can do it. Now, granted, Roy Scheider was reportedly not, any picnic to work with either. So it wasn't all Friedkin. But to be fair, there's very few times Friedkin works with somebody more than once.
Well, and then Roy Schneider saw, he goes, listen, I was on the French Connection. This may work out for me. So he's like, I'll do this. I'm going to, because now he's getting top billing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's getting top billing on Sorcerer. So,
man, I can't believe that movie opened up outside of Star Wars. What a colossal mistake that was. Holy shit.
But you know what? That's what happens when well, listen, when Star Wars came out, it was a gamble. It was
That's very
a gamble
true.
Because you're true. Just like, pretty much, who is this George Lucas guy? Right?
Do me a favor, expand on that. I don't think a lot of people understand what the thought was in the theaters when that thing came out. People thought that was a goof, didn't they?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure, because they see this one guy. Well, think about this. Everyone turned him down. All the major studios turned him down. So now he's like, I gotta bankroll this. I gotta talk to my wife, and I gotta bankroll this on my own. And you figured, okay, Franken and whoever's looking is like, well, no studio's giving this guy any money, so how successful is he going to be?
Right.
So
you got a stable full of unknown actors. Nobody's ever heard of any of these people before that are fronting it. Alec Guinness is like, all right, I guess I'll do it. I ain't got nothing else going on. You know, it's nobody thought it was going to be that big a deal.
Yeah, and then it just
the original trailer sucked.
Yeah, because the original trailer didn't even have the music in it.
Right.
The John Williams.
The very first one didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it was like my first show on YouTube. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, this is gonna be special.
So now you got because let me just do a quick thing here, because what else came out in 77?
This is like what we were talking about earlier about how we were kind of spoiled in the 70s and 80s when you were talking about Colhauser, talking about like good movies, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't so much that we had so many good movies, but studios were pumping out, 3, 4, 5 times the films in those days than they are right now. So the chances of getting something good was a lot better than it is today. Right? When you're a big studio and you're putting out, 3 films a year or 4 films a year, I mean, they all have to be bangers and they all got to make $1 billion. Where back then we had the variety, we had the comedy, we had, the romantic stuff, we had, science fiction, we had action, and not a lot of them were very expensive. So these studios are making a lot of money on films that are, not too expensive to make. And a lot of them were really good. And there are occasionally bad ones in those things, but that's only because there's so many.
Yeah. So, and then if you look at it too, where Franken's probably looking, well, you know what? I think I'm going to be okay from this George Lucas guy and whatever else is coming out, because I've already had a top movie with The French Connection. I can roll off of that with this movie. So, and I got Roy Schneider now, who's becoming a great actor, in what he's doing.
Yeah, he's starting to get top bill at that point.
Yeah,
he's a name at that point.
Yeah. So it just kind of worked itself out. Yeah, because in 77, all you pretty much had was you had Smokey and the Bandit, you had Annie Hall, Spy Who Loved Me, Close Encounters, all within like a 4 or 5 month degree. But yeah,
really the only thing you got that you're going up against at that point is Close Encounters.
Yeah,
that was the only one that on any level people thought, yeah, I mean, it hit right off the bat and kept on going.
Yeah. So listen, this he took a chance, he took a risk, and he lost. And George Lucas, you go back, if you go back in time now, it's just like, do I want to open my movie in this year by this date? No.
Yeah, good point. All right, we'll come back to that later. Let's get this. I got to get this out in front of people. We got to get to Killer Joe, because I mean to tell you, this is about the weirdest. This is where I think William Friedkin has his David Lynch turn right here. If we're gonna put a name to it, here again, black and white title card right off the bat. He's just there's just something about that. That is just such a Friedkin, thing to do. Your credits, bang, right up front, black and white, stark, smack in the face, and then, all right, let's get running. I don't know. I have very few stills on this, but I'm going to throw them up real quick. Dart, you have something you want to throw in there?
I don't have anything.
Okay, all right.
To throw up.
Can I throw one thing in?
Yeah, man, go.
Okay, so regarding Franken's titles, how he just does the titles, do you think and just call me weird now, because do you think Apocalypse Now did the weird title? Oops, hold on. I gotta do
right
something.
up at us.
I gotta do something with.
There you go.
There we go. Do you think, because Apocalypse Now did the ending title similar for the ending, because you didn't have any opening credits for Apocalypse Now, but they
Right.
did a sort of similar style at the end of Apocalypse Now.
I see where you're going. I'm going to say no, only in this respect. Only in this respect. That's a drawn out kind of, how do I put this? That's a lengthy kind of, they want to drag you into something, and Friedkin's is, boom, smacking you right in the grill. Let's get going. Style wise, very similar, but Friedkin cuts it short, black and white, bam, right in your face.
Okay.
Let's get moving. But otherwise, yeah, I'd go with that.
Because I do like black and white. I do like black and white intros. Like with just the leather, it just comes in, just goes boom. And then, yeah, that's it. You don't get that anymore.
No, everybody wants to do that 3 minutes of cool CGI. Look how fun. That's kind of a Marvel thing. I think that sort of grabbed hold, and everybody, they want to get everybody all juiced up right off the bat. I think I like the Friedkin version better, where he slaps you right in the face and says, stop doing whatever you're doing right this second, because the story starts right now.
Yeah.
And that's, to that end, you get that Killer Joe title, and then you go straight to young Chris outside of, let me back up a second before I put that up. Let me go back one step. Let's talk a little bit about this one.
Real quick, it's been a long time since I saw this movie, so it's a refresher at this point.
Okay, no worries. No worries.
I remember enjoying it a lot.
No worries. We'll get there. We got plenty of time. This is a 2011 8 to 11 million box office, about 4.6 million a film. This was the one that was a passion project. Matthew McConaughey saw this, literally went to his wife and said, look, I read this script that I really want to do that will very possibly end my career in Hollywood. What do you think? And she said, if it's something you feel strongly about, go ahead. And he did. And I'm glad that he did, because this is just a strange ass movie. The thing on this, it was originally released as NC-17 and had the reason that they made so little on it. Friedkin let it go as NC-17, and it only went to 75 theaters, and it lasted about a month and a half before they pulled it. Okay, so if you see it now, you're going to see the director's cut, because that original release, boy, did they argue over that, and boy, is it worth it to see the director's cut the way he wanted it, because it's just strange. I'd rather
chicken scene, man. Fried chicken scene.
Oh man, I tell you what, this thing gets so weird, it's hard to even describe. But I'm going to give it a shot. All right, here we go. You're in Texas. Whole story takes place in Texas. You're outside of Dallas, I would assume, seeing as that's where Killer Joe works for, Dallas Police Department. Young Chris rolls up one night to a trailer. You can't see it very well, but off to the right, that trailer behind him there, he's up against, raining like hell. There's a dog. There's a pit bull, about a 90-pound pit bull over on the right there that's just barking his ass off as Chris is banging on every door and window of this trailer. He wants to get in the house, right? So it starts off loud. Oh, excuse me. Starts off loud and doesn't get any better. Believe it or not, I'm actually rolling these in order, folks. Door opens up. I can't show on this show how the door opens up, but you see Gina Gershon, and she's standing there naked from the waist down, and she opens the door, and Chris is like, oh God, put that away. So she opens the door. He comes in and he goes, you answer the door like that? And her line, my right hand to God, she says, well, I didn't know who it was. Right off the bat sets you up for, okay.
Does that make it worse or better?
Exactly. I'm like, what are you trying to say, lady? So we meet Gina Gershon's character, Charlotte. She's the mom of the day for Chris's dad, played by Tom Sayden Church. If you ever want to see one of the funniest roles that this guy's ever going to play in his life, check this movie out. He is an absolute retard in this movie.
Also in the show Wings.
He's even dumber in this than he's in Wings. I think his Wings character is leaps and bounds smarter than Ansel. His name in this movie is Ansel.
He's so dumb in this one, you almost feel sorry for him.
You do. You absolutely feel sorry for him. You're like, oh my God, this guy is completely, I can't believe he hasn't accidentally blown himself up at this point. So he's married to Charlotte, unfortunately. I want to know, I'll get to that in just a second, but Charlotte and Ansel let Chris in the trailer. And here we have a cute scene of the happy family at home. She's whacking Chris across the face because he'd made all kind of snide comments about her answering the door naked from the waist down. Ansel's having a beer. He woke them up out of bed. I want to know where William Friedkin got his idea for these people, because I want to go meet them folks, because I'll bet they were an absolute scream. I want to go hang with them for about an hour, hour and a half, and then call it good at that point. Short story is Chris has got himself in a bit of trouble with some people over some drug money. So he drags Ansel out in the rain to a strip club because it's loud and he wants to talk to him. He wants to propose something to his dad, say, hey, I'm in a whole lot of trouble. I need $6,000. Ansel says, I've never seen $6,000 in my entire life. Chris says, how'd you like to have $20,000? Oh boy, we've already got a bad idea right off the bat. He proposes we're going to get some insurance money, and we are going to do it through the means of this fella by the name of Killer Joe. Before we get there, let me introduce you to Dottie real quick. She makes an appearance in that opening scene where Chris is telling Ansel about how he wants to get the insurance money, but she's naked in that scene. I can't show that on the screen, but there's Dottie. Dottie's a sweet girl. Her mother tried to kill her when she was young, tried to smother her and left her with brain damage, and now she's a little odd, and she's sort of precognitive. She, phone rings at one point in the story, and Joe says, you going to get that? And she says, it's for you. And he picks it up, and sure enough, it's for him. That kind of weird sort of deal.
It's Juno Temple for those that.
There you go. There you go. So there was Dottie.
Temple's daughter.
He decides we're going to deal with this fellow by the name of Killer Joe, who is a detective with the Dallas Police Department. He's got a side business where he kills people. Hello, Matthew McConaughey. Now, here's how Friedkin sets things up that I think are really extremely cool. Remember that scene in the beginning where Chris is banging on the door and the windows and all that, and T-Bone, the dog that's next door, the pit bull, is absolutely losing his shit. I'm like real loud, super aggressive. Joe rolls up in his ride and strolls out of the ride all the way up to the house. The dog, T-Bone, is in the exact same spot, does not make a sound the entire time Killer Joe is around him. He has figured out this is a guy you do not want to bark at. There's also a scene
seems to really not like Chris, if you notice.
Absolutely.
When Dottie walks up there, the dog does nothing. The dog loves Dottie.
Yep.
The dog won't say anything to Killer Joe.
Does not
like Chris.
Yep. Hates Chris. Does not so much as he actually sits down and whimpers when Joel rolls up originally, which I thought was pretty telling. There's also a guy Joe walks by in the county jail. Joe walks by him, real rough looking biker dude, and he's screaming, and Joe walks by and the guy gets all quiet and just looks at him as he goes by. It was very kind of, just like the pit bull kind of thing. So they decide they're going to go into business with Joe, right? Well, Killer Joe likes his cash up front and he don't negotiate. And Chris and Ansel are trying to make a deal with him. And he says, look, this is $25,000 cash up front, and it is non-negotiable. We find out the boys don't have the money. Well, Joe doesn't negotiate, except he sees Dottie and says, how about a retainer? So Joe has a date with Dottie. Now there's a bunch of shots in this scene that I also can't show because Joe and Dottie hit it off spectacularly. Let me put it that way. They hit it off great. Well, Chris doesn't like this. Chris doesn't like that Joe's getting with his sister. So he tries to tell Joe, knock it off. Joe's like, you can pound sand, Junior, till I get my money. That's what's up. In the interim, we get to see a little background about what kind of trouble Chris is really in. He's walking out of a betting parlor trying to get a little scratch together to give to his debtor, and these two bikers roll up on him, and he decides to take off on foot, and they chase him down. It's a wonderful scene. It's not, how do I put this? It ain't a car chase, but it is every bit as tense as a car chase because these fellas are not playing around. They're not playing around because they work for this fella, Digger Soames. Old Digger here has lent Chris some money and he wants it back, and he is not playing. Now, he likes Chris, so he's just going to have the boys beat the shit out of him. But if he doesn't give him his money in 3 days, he's going to wrap him in electrical tape and bury him in a hole 10 feet deep. The part I love about that line is because Joe asks Chris at one point, "Who do you owe this money to, Digger?" And Chris says, "How'd you know that?" And Joe says, "What he threatened to do to you?" And Chris goes, "That's not important." And Joe says, "He'll do it." So clearly he knows what's up. Well, sure enough, old Digger, he has the boys tune Chris up, and they whoop him pretty good. So Chris decides to go back to Joe and say, "All right, man, you need to hurry up and get this done. I need this to happen." Joe's like, "I got this taken care of. You know, you need to get me my money." And Chris says, "You need to make this happen first." And Joe decides to share with him, "Yeah, I already got this handled." And he tells Chris to get in the car, and they drive this individual out to where they go ahead and make it look like an accident. Okay, now we've got to the point where we can collect insurance money. Joe's done his thing. He's expecting his cash. Family's expecting their cash. Everything should be good to go. The problem is we get the family to the lawyer's office to go collect on the insurance. We got Ansel there. We've got Charlotte there. Dottie's supposed to be the beneficiary. Ansel's ripped his sleeve because he tried to pull one string on the one suit jacket that he owns, and his whole sleeve comes off because he's a complete retard. We find out Dottie is not the beneficiary, and Ansel is none too happy about this. And he decides to kind of tune Chris up a little bit. Well, the problem is Ansel is not the only person not happy about this. Joe finds out about it. And Killer Joe does not ever get stiffed on his payoff. Okay. Now, knowing what we know about William Friedkin endings, I am going to leave that right there. Let us get to it. Darth, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's so much to like about this flick. I mean, we start off, you know, like you showed in the slide there, the rain is pissing down, banging on the thing, and then they end up at that titty bar, and you get you know, music from Southern Culture on the skids. You get Swamp Fox. You get the Reverend Horton Heat. You know, Bad Reputation. He's like, oh yeah, it's really awesome. Then you got Matthew McConaughey's, you know, entrance, right? Where he comes down, you see those ostrich skin, you know, cowboy boots, and
when he's suiting up for the first time, puts them glasses on and slides his pistol in the thing, leather jacket and the gloves. Yeah.
It's like, you know, immediately everything you need to know about this character is in that one scene, and it's such a beautiful piece of filmmaking, you know. I mean, this family too. I mean, I don't know. They seem a bit messed up. A lot of them, like you know, Chris seems like he's stupid, but he thinks he's smart. Ansel's just a retard. The wife there, she's stupid, but she's smart enough to try to put one over on everybody that she thinks is stupider than she is. It's just, you kind of laugh at a lot of this stuff, even though crazy shit goes on, right?
It's one of those movies you got to kind of turn your brain off at one point and not try and think too hard about what the hell is going on, you know.
I think if somebody would say, you know, if you got a favorite line, I'd have to say it'd be, you know, Killer Joe saying, "If you insult me again, I will cut your face off and wear it as my own." Just go,
When he tells Curse, that's my favorite part. Killer, he's so cool through the whole thing. You know, he just doesn't get ruffled about nothing. He even, you know, whoops a little ass here and doesn't get worked up. Nothing. Very Hannibal Lecter. That's kind of cool. You know, pulse never gets above 80. None of that. And then at the end, boy, does he just cut loose? Holy mackerel!
like the scene. They say, "Oh boy, that escalated quickly. Really got out of hand fast." The ending is just tremendous.
I think I didn't see this one, so I got to pass on that one.
No worries.
You got to see it, Colhauser. It's
yeah, no, I definitely will watch it. I got a list. I gotta watch on things. So
yeah, this one. If you're a fan of David Lynch films at all, or any kind of, you know, just Terry Gilliam, that kind of where it's just super weird, this is the one to do. What say you, Spider?
Yeah, from what I remember of this one, I enjoyed it a lot, and the characters and everything, and it was all put together extremely well. Matthew McConaughey definitely steals the show. I remember him, the whole thing that he does. It's just incredible, and I definitely have to give it a rewatch because it's been a while.
This is, yeah, it's an easy find on a lot of platforms, you know, Amazon and, you know, Fandango and all that stuff. I don't know. I haven't looked for it on YouTube. I don't know what they would hit you up for it. Get the director's cut. I think that's the only version you can get now. Darth, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the original.
There was only one version of the film that was available for me to stream. That was like I said, it was on Tubi or one of them damn streaming things. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
the Blu-ray is out of print, so you'd be hard pressed finding that for a decent price. But
yeah, this is William Friedkin's Twin Peaks turn for me right here. He just went all in on, hey, what do I think Texans are really like, and just I mean, he went off the rails. There's some parts in it. How do I put this? Some parts in it made me uneasy, and I go, oh, Dottie's not being treated this, that, the other way. I think that's kind of set. And then the ending kind of just cured me of all of that bullshit just in an instant, you know. And it was a classic William Friedkin ending.
Spoil that for.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I ain't gonna.
It, but oh man,
I ain't even gonna spoil it. If you haven't seen this and you can get your hands to it, you know, if you can stream it somewhere, do it, because this is a good use of your time. Have a couple of drinks, sit down, turn your brain off just enough to enjoy this, because the story it's not super convoluted. It's pretty easy to figure out.
Have some fried chicken.
Oh yeah,
there
get a bucket of K-Fried C.
K-Fried C.
Kick back. Gina Gershon. I tell you what, man, Gina Gershon deserves. I don't know if she got nominated, but my God, did she deserve at least a nod for this? You know, she should have been. I know she didn't, because Hollywood don't, you know, whatever. She
like
was
good films in Hollywood.
They are all everybody in this is so good. Thomas Hayden Church is just fantastic as Ansel. He's a complete retard, and you just feel bad for him. I love that end in that part in the end where he goes, Ansel is not interested in helping you right now, are you, Ansel? And he's like, no, sir, I'm not.
No,
you
sir,
know,
I'm not.
Just sits right there. Okay, you know, it's just crazy. What a great way to wrap up a really fantastic career. That guy, you know, very few misses, a lot of classics.
Looks like it's on Apple TV.
Is it on Apple TV? Fantastic. Perfect. I know for a fact you can get it if you're on Fandango. They are kind of I won't say the anti-Amazon. They're kind of like Temu Amazon. So if you got Fandango, go check them out. They used to be Walmart TV. That's how I got on them, because they'd have stuff on special, real obscure stuff that was hard to find. They're Fandango now. Give them a look. And they're pretty reasonably priced. And they're one of those, you know, buy it once, keep it forever kind of deals.
And let's not forget that Friedkin was part of the whole New Hollywood regime.
Say the first part of that again. I'm sorry.
Friedkin was part of the whole New Hollywood turnover of all those directors who reinvented the whole wheel of those movies.
Yeah. Him, Bogdanovich. Who was the other one?
Michael Cimino.
Yeah. Oh God, Michael Cimino. Where'd that guy go after Heaven's Gate?
Exactly.
Oh man. That's kind of hard. That was, you can get put in director's jail for, your J.J. Abrams and all that. I mean, you get put in director's jail, that's one thing, but one bomb and you never heard from again, man, that's kind of harsh.
That's the way they work, I guess, nowadays.
Yeah, well, not fast enough for Kurtzman, as far as I'm concerned. That could have gone a different route.
Some people are just going to keep failing upward, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy, sad. How you doing? Yeah, I'll have oat milk in that, Kathy. Thanks.
It's sad.
Oh my God.
She wasn't even a good coffee girl, apparently, according to Spielberg. So
oh God, we should do that one day. We'll sit down and go all the absolutely banger, just culture changing stuff that accidentally had her name on it. God dang, that makes me mad. And then she finishes it up with Indiana Jones and the dialect, Phoebe Waller-Bridge beating up on India. God, I want to just spit on that woman.
What a terrible film. Oh, I'm so sad that I actually.
Star Wars was kind of headed, she did her thing with Star Wars. But man, you take Indy and do that. I'm going to posit something real quick before we wrap this up and get out of here. How can you not do for Indy what you did in The Last Crusade when he meets his dad? How can you not turn him into a dad character like Sean Connery for that movie? That thing was already written, man. It was golden. It was there.
It wasn't part of their agenda.
Oh, fuck them.
Yep.
Oh, man.
That
one really burned me. I knew this was coming one day. I was going to have one too many. We got talking about movies, and then I hit it just spins me right up. God dang, that makes me mad. Anyway, all right. I won't get her today. We'll save it. Someday I'll see her at a Starbucks and make 3 drinks because she did it wrong. Goofball. Yeah, we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to let everybody plug. If anybody's got any observations or any questions or anything they want to throw out before we get on out of here, we got a couple of minutes. We're going to just BS, and I got to get these fellas out of here. I kept them. You boys over on the East Coast time. Yeah. Spider and Cole, it's getting late for you fellas. You probably got a game.
Yeah, it's 10:30.
All right, it ain't that bad.
Yeah.
It's a Saturday. We're okay. Yeah. Who's got a favorite out of these 3? Or out of these 5, excuse me. 1, 2, 5, 3.
French Connection.
French Connection?
Okay. Yeah, French Connection.
Really? You were going to do To Live and Die in LA. You threw it right over.
I was like, you know what? I have to go back to French Connection.
Okay.
It bounces back and forth. It was like French Connection when I first sort of came in and first started doing the rewatches for this. And then it's like, oh no, it's To Live and Die in LA for sure.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I mean, that's funny too. You mentioned the stunt coordinator there, Buddy Hooker, right? And the Buddy Joe Hooker, the one thing Friedkin said to him about the car chase and that, he's like, you have to make it better than the French Connection. Can you do that? And he's like, yep.
Yeah, because French Connection, they just had Bullet out and they were trying to compete. They had that was the big thing. Bullet just showed up, and then you got the French Connection. You're like, okay, ours is going to be better than theirs. And then that guy gets, 20 years down there. Well, let's see, 85. No, he wasn't quite that far away from it, but you get about 15 years away from that ballpark. I can't do math. I have my shoes on, so I can't count past 10, but
we need X-Ray Girl on here to do the
Yeah. Give me I need an Asian producer. Somebody where's Philip Chan? Get him on board. He gets down the road a little bit and then decides he wants to do it. Okay, I'm gonna top French Connection. I thought that's pretty ballsy. First of all, you got to know how hard that was when you did it originally and all the shit you ran into originally. You're like, oh, we're gonna do that again, but in California this time. Okay, I'm like, man, good on you. Good on you. That guy had balls. For anybody that doesn't know William Friedkin's background, real short. Big movie file when he was a kid, goes to high school, graduates high school, goes straight into television, goes straight to work. No college, no big job, no nothing. He right into the industry and started doing it. He's doing news, and then he's doing commercials, and then he moves up to movies. I mean, it's just the guy, his whole life was behind the camera. And if anybody knew what they were doing, it was him. And I just loved how he just slapped the audience right in the face. Like, hey, whatever stop eating that popcorn, pay attention. Those opening scenes, just boom, right between the eyes. All the stories are tight. Everything makes sense. Even the stuff that's not action is action, To Live and Die in LA is a great example of that. The scenes with Rick Masters where he's talking to his buddies. You never know when he's having that conversation with Jeff, and Jeff breaks bad on him. He's in there talking, and you think, okay, he's just going back to get his cash. And then all of a sudden, whoops, knives come out, fight starts, guns get, oh, okay, here we go, ba-boom.
A lot of people in that movie get punched in the nuts and get kicked in the nuts.
Yes.
And even shot in the nuts. So
Max Waxman. Yeah. We left out a whole bunch of stuff for all of you that haven't seen it. If you get a chance to go see it, we left a bunch of good stuff out of there. And I kind of did that. I didn't want to ruin there's some really good treats in all of these movies that we left out that you get a chance to go out and check them out. Cause you'll go, oh shit, they didn't cover that part. And I'm like, yeah, wait till you get to the ending of To Live and Die in LA and Killer Joe. We didn't even let you know what's going on there. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. That's going to blow your mind. Oh, goodness. All right. We're going to go alphabetical order. Colossus, do your thing, man. Where can we find you? What's going on? What you got in the hopper?
So you can find me on X, and you can find me here on YouTube. I may be on someone's stream tomorrow night. I'm still debating. I'm still waiting to see. But I will let everyone know when that happens. It'll be a pretty good one.
Can you tease it, or is it one of those you can't tease? You don't have to. I'm not trying to.
Yeah. Tomorrow, everyone will know. So.
All right. See, that was a pretty good tease. Just follow my channel all day. That was a pretty good tease right there.
There you go. And then Monday, I got the Golden Age podcast with Isaac, Ronan, Cornboy, and Magnum North. So I got that on Monday, and then just doing some gaming streams during the week. And because the following week, I got one I'm not even gonna say, but once it comes out, everyone's gonna be blown away by it. So.
Oh, this sounds good.
It's gonna be a good one.
Nice. Darth, what do you got going on? Where can we find you? What you got in the hopper, man?
It's the channel is Chilled Monkey Brains with a Z. I got coming out not this week, but next week is a video about Ralph Bakshi's animated Lord of the Rings film.
Oh, good one.
I'm gonna break that down.
What about Wizards? You ever gonna get into that one?
I might get to that at some later point. It's mentioned in this video, but
okay.
I would like to actually do something about that, do a breakdown of that one too, because that's a favorite of mine. I got my monthly Star Trek videos coming, usually the first week of every month for the 60th anniversary. Got a few of them on the channel. If you like Star Trek, you might like those videos. I don't know.
Do they rip on the new stuff?
Oh, there's good reviews, and there's reviews that are honest about the things that are bad. But these are just going to be the movies. So
okay,
the original series cast movies and Next Generation movies and the three Jar Jar Abrams movies.
I look forward to it. I will keep an eye out.
All right, and of course I'll be in multiple chats.
Perfect.
Through the week while I'm at work.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Spider, what do you got for us, brother? Where can we find you? What do you got in the hopper?
Unfiltered Outlaws podcast will be back tomorrow to 2 p.m. Eastern for the Sunday Saloon. Special guest lady. It'll be interesting. Scandalous.
That's a buddy of the Beast, isn't it, lady?
Yep. Oh, it's gonna be tomorrow's gonna be the NC-17 rated.
Is this stream child friendly? No. No, YouTube, it is not.
Oh,
what's up, Cole?
Yeah. So, and just to let you know, so our show with Jay, Mozamboni, and Wicked Virtue has been moved on Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So
Which
the
one is that?
midday, it's called
Midday
the
Mixer?
Mixer.
Okay.
So we're moving that till 4 o'clock because we want to have some more people on the show, and because some work schedules and stuff, so we're putting that at 4 o'clock now. So
You couldn't get Beardo on until 4, so you guys decided to move it back. Is that what?
Beardo fat.
Not even here catching strays. I'm gonna run into him one of these days. He's gonna grab me by the neck and be like, "Hey, easy
you know
up,
what,
McCoy. I'm straight."
Beardo's. It's funny because everyone thinks Beardo's a big dude. He's not.
No,
yeah, he's like, and Beardo is the nicest guy you ever meet. Like, the guy is just, but like because Beardo's like 6 foot. So
well, hell, he ain't bigger than me then. Is he over? Does he go over 215?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! All right. Well, never mind. I'll have to keep him at distance then.
Beardo's the nicest. Beardo is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Like, I love Beardo. He's just a great dude.
He takes a lot of shit. A lot of these guys take a lot of shit. I see these guys in the G&G sphere, and a lot of these dudes that horse around. I go, yeah, you guys, you got. Miki takes a good beating. Kata always takes a good beating. There's some good dudes, man.
Yeah, well, it's a little with the G&G crew, and what I've been learning. It's a different casting crew because there is a handful of us. So, like, I'm part of that crew, and it's different, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But hey, there's good people everywhere, especially in our sphere. So
yeah, and there's bad people everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that whole thing
mostly around where I live. No, I'm kidding.
Changing subjects, like that whole thing with the quartering that's going on right now, like that thing is taking a life on its own. Well, you're not on X, so you're not. I don't think you're not seeing.
No, I don't do any of that.
And Spider,
the whole goddamn timeline.
Yeah.
God damn, this thing took a life of its own. Is an understatement.
Yeah,
That's how I feel.
Well, and Darth, you would see it too, right?
Occasionally, I'm not on it as often, but I do occasionally see these things come up for sure.
Yeah, like the show.
If I see something that's related to that, I get it from Nicholas DiOrio. I'm a big Nicholas DiOrio fan, and he does a lot of EHD stuff. But I tell you what, that Kino Casino thing has absolutely exploded.
Yeah,
and it's just crazy.
I know Jeremy was streaming, so yeah, I know he's talking about it. The show is supposed to go on tomorrow. I'm finding out first, because if they're gonna be talking about this, I'm not going on because I don't want any part of this.
Yeah,
this thing is just like every day I'm seeing now, and like all day today, it was just like this thing ain't stopping.
Do you think, just out of curiosity, I got to ask this because you guys that watch this thing, you sort of know the sphere a little bit better than me. I got to ask this: is this some kind of WWE nonsense going on? Is this some sort of behind the scenes organized, like these guys are actually talking to each other, kind of, hey, I'll do a heel turn and you'll do this, or what's the
deal? There's just
we getting punked here or what?
No, there's some bitter people. Listen.
Oh, okay.
Let me give you a good example. There's a lot of people out there who they've tried to get Jeremy canceled, Ryan, Gary.
Oh yeah.
Drinker. There's a lot of people out there who do not like them.
Well, Drinker wound up in the trades. That's when he. Yeah.
But you know what? These guys speak facts.
Yeah.
This is why they're like, when Disney went after Ryan, Jeremy, and Gary last year or the year before, like they went hard after them, trying to get their YouTube channel shut down.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it is.
Well, I'll give you this much: it is entertaining, and
I
am not a how do I put this? I ain't a huge proponent of drama per se, especially when I'm involved with it. But I got to tell you, if I got nothing else to watch, there's nothing going on YouTube, I will click on Nicholas DiOrio and go, okay, kid, tell me what's up. That kid's about entertaining as hell. And then you start getting into, okay, now Smash JT's doing something about it, and now I'm going to roll over and see Jeremy do something about it. And you're like, oh my God, now I'm 3 hours into it. It's worse than doom scrolling on TikTok.
You know what? When I see drama, I walk right away. This is like, and this is why, like, when people ask me, because I go on a lot of political shows too. And the reason why I don't do politics, because I told everyone I did politics for like 20 plus years. I am not doing this on my own channel. Because there's just too much drama out there.
You did the Canadian version. I did the American version. We've talked about this before. Yeah, I don't.
Well, I've actually did the American version too, because I worked in the U.S. for quite a few years.
Yeah, I don't swim in that shit. I've seen enough of it. I don't need to do that anymore.
So yeah, I'm just like, when that stuff goes down, I let it go down.
Yeah, the only thing I got going down is whiskey. I am gonna plug this. We are gonna roll. God bless you, chat. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna do a version of this, on a semi-regular basis. I'm gonna get with these fellas. We'll get a couple more boys in the mix. I have seen Ronan, the Crusader. If I'm saying that right, I saw some of his work. We'd get him and do 5 on a panel one night because I like some of his takes.
Yeah, Ronan's great.
But we're going to keep doing this, chat. We're going to keep kicking it around because I think it's a great format. There's an absolute ton of material out there that has been lost to time, never got seen in the first place, that really needs to find its way back and maybe show these kids, that are doing it in Hollywood now. This is what it looks like. Yeah. You really want to be good at your job. You really want to, put some bangers out. This is what they look like. So we're going to keep doing this. Thank you guys so much for showing up here. I appreciate you giving up a Saturday evening. I have absolutely had a ball.
Thanks for having us on the show, man.
Yeah, I love having you guys here. The people that know what the hell they're talking about with movies, man. I dig that. And Drinker turned me down flat. So no, I'm kidding. I wouldn't know how to get a hold of that guy if I had to. Somebody put a gun in my head. I am on weekdays. We're way past that podcast, as you see on the bottom of the Giles McCoy thing. 9 o'clock Central every morning. I wedge myself in between Welcome to the Rebellion and the G&G Daily Show because it was always an open slot, and I had nothing to do during that time. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take up that spot. We don't do politics too much. We just kind of look at the news and laugh at it a little bit, and then we talk about movies and gaming and things of the day. If you get a chance, stop on by. If you like the show, sub, like, all that YouTube bullshit. Yeah. Like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Definitely go to these fellas' channels and give them a like, give them a sub. You are not going to be disappointed. I guarantee it. Get over to Unfiltered Outlaws. Spider's the only one that kind of got, you did say it once, but those are the folks that gave me my start, and God love them. They're still hanging with me every now and again. They go, hey, so-and-so died in a car crash. Can you show up? I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. We've been through 14 people. Are you available? Yeah, I'm in, man. I'm on it. So.
Yeah, sometimes the body's not even, I'm not even going with it. Forget it.
I knew there was going to be some New York. Yeah, sometimes we can't even scrape the blood off the sidewalk. Like, Giles, can you clean this up and then maybe sit in for an hour or so? Yeah, man, I'm on it. Where's the broom? Where's the hose? I'm on it. Thank you so much, Chef, for stopping by. Thank you, fellas, again. I have had an absolute ball, and we will see y'all hopefully Monday morning on the show, and I will get some dates out when we're going to do this again. Don't have one right off the top of my head, but I'm going to keep talking to these fellas, and we're going to kick some things around, see what kind of ideas we can come up with. Thank you so much. Check out the outro, and God bless you. May y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Be good to one another and be good to yourself. God bless you.
Bye.
I'm just about done here. I never did know your name.
Yes, you do. Take care.
Yes, sir, Captain.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man.
You finished?
It's the end of the road.
You bastards! between Glamorgan and Yorkshire, the Yorkshire bowler Nicholson took 8 wickets for 3 runs. Glamorgan were all out for 36 and therefore won the match by an innings and 7 runs. Weather for tomorrow will be cloudy with occasional outbreaks of rain. And that is the end of the news.
And now? Can we go home now?